over. Just so, yeah, I don't have an easel. I was going to grab one, but I couldn't find one, so I gave up on it. Okay, so first, what we're going to kind of go over is how dogs learn. I know a lot of us are like, oh, I know how they learn through treats and repetition and all of that. There's actually a scientific-based study on how they actually learn, how to process information, how to get the quickest results. Most of us know it's not through the old school, I'm going to hit you with a newspaper because you did something bad. So we're going to kind of go over that and kind of clear up why half the stuff we do doesn't work like it should or not as fast. The first part of it is timing. Timing is a huge aspect, probably one of the most important parts about dog training. You have approximately 0.5 seconds to 1.5 seconds to capture the behavior you want. Anything after that is completely gone. They have no idea why they're doing what they're doing anymore. So I have Saturn right now, I've got other dogs in the car. If I told Saturn to sit, he sits, I wait 2 seconds, I'm like, oh, good dog. He has no idea why I'm telling him he's a good dog. He's like, oh, I am a good dog. Same with if we come home and our dog has shredded a couch. And we go home and we yell at it, we're like, no, naughty, and we're pointing at it. All that dog realizes is that we came home and something bad happened. Disciplining, unless it can be within this 1.5 seconds, through 1.3 seconds is really where we want to be. Disciplining other than that, or rewarding for a behavior, it's basically a mute point, which is why we have a clicker. Who's all familiar with clicker training? Have you guys all done it or just kind of heard about it?
Yes.
Perfect. We're going to do a little bit of a clicker demo. It's one of the best ways to even teach obedience with dogs, because you can capture that moment instantly. So even in a heel, if I'm walking and Saturn has a perfect heel, I click and reward it. He knows exactly what he did, what he was doing at that moment to give that treat. If I'm just like, yes, good dog, and then treat him, the time it takes for me to get my bait pouch, a treat out of my bait pouch into him, is outside of that 1 second. So again, it's kind of a mute point, which is why we use the clicker when training. Next we have motivation. Yep, go ahead.
So the clicker is like a reward?
It's not a reward, it's marking a behavior.
Okay.
The reward comes afterward, but basically if I'm working with my dog Nico, we're working on intention healing right now, so the minute he looks at me, click treat, he knows exactly him making eye contact with me is what gave him his reward. His reward could be 5 seconds later, doesn't matter. He knows exactly what he did to get the reward.
Okay.
It's kind of our way of capturing it. You will run into some dogs that are going to be terrified of the clicker. It sounds funny, but even like Saturn can't do clicker training. Terrifies them.
Quick question. So then, is it basically they associate the clicker with a behavior, but then also a positive, like,
Yep.
the clicker means they did something right?
Exactly. The
Okay.
clicker is conditioned with positive reinforcement,
Okay.
which we're going to go over. It's going to get a little bit confusing because there's positive reinforcement, positive correction, negative reinforcement, negative correction. It's going to be opposite of what you think it is. We'll go over that a little bit later though. Motivation. We all know rescue dogs come from all different backgrounds of life. Saturn was a puppy mill dog. The dog I have in the car was actually from here. I don't think we know what her whole background story was. They all are completely different. Some dogs do really well with your normal, here's a cookie, yes, you did a good job. Other dogs, that doesn't work for them. It's kind of backwards of what we think. We're like, oh, you did good, I should reward you for it. Some dogs don't want to be rewarded. The best reward for them is space. Saturn doesn't like me at all. I'm not going to push myself on him and pet him and pet him and pet him, because that's a negative reinforcement for him. I'm rewarding him in a negative way by me petting him and paying attention to him. If I ignore him and don't have anything to do with him, he's way more comfortable with me. He's like, hey, we can get along. So a lot of times the dogs in shelters, if we do the opposite of what we want, we ignore them, just kind of let them coexist with us, they warm up and it builds a relationship faster than, come here puppy, come here, or sitting in the kennel, walking up to the kennel, petting them. Foster dogs, same thing. If we're like, hey, I want to be friends with you, I know you've been beaten before, I want to be your friend, they have no idea we're a good person. Doesn't matter if we shower them with food, treats, that's all negative reinforcement. My dog, if he's punished and I go and give him a treat, he's like, I'd rather not take that from you because you just yelled at me. Best to ignore them. We've got to find the motivation that works for each dog. Some dogs are really easy to work with. You can use treats, positive reinforcement like petting, a toy, anything. Other dogs, Saturn is in my obedience class, that won't take a treat. He doesn't want to, it's too stressful. So Katie has to just praise him and be like, yes, good dog, to reinforce what he's doing is correct. wrong motivations. Again, we kind of touched on that. If you're using the wrong motivation for the wrong dog, it's going to not, your training is not going to work at all. It's going to take them steps back. It's not, you're going to get frustrated because it's not working. If you don't have a food-driven dog and you're holding a treat trying to get him to sit, and they're not doing it, you build frustration. You're like, why won't you just sit? They build frustration because they're like, I don't know what you want me to do. Clear it up. We can do more of a molding, like I'm showing you what I want you to do, and then I'm going to reward you while you're in that behavior. Finally, consistency, and those are kind of the, yep, go ahead.
Sorry.
Yep, you're good.
Are we gonna get into how you discover what the dog?
Yep,
Like
we'll do
you-
that when
okay.
I've got dogs in the car. We're gonna
Okay.
bring them in, we're gonna do some hands-on. Discovering every dog I brought is completely different, so we're gonna kind of figure out where each dog stands.
Okay.
Consistency. One of my biggest pet peeves is when people aren't consistent. You could have your dog. My dog's not allowed on my couch, ever. He's a big dog. It's microfiber. He sheds. I don't want him on there. So if I'm watching a scary movie, my fiance is gone, no one's there, I'm scared, I call him up there one time. The next time I sit on the couch, he's going to think he can come up there. And then he's going to get in trouble. For him, he has no idea why I just drug him off the couch and told him, no, go place. He's no recollection of what he just did was wrong. Rules have to be rules. Even if we maybe want to break it once or twice, we have to remind ourselves not to do it. It confuses them. Dogs, I mean, there's a study that they don't really see in black and white, but for them, their life should be very, very black and white. Yes, I should do this. No, I shouldn't do this. Yes, I can go in this room. No, I can't go in this room. Yes, I can be here. No, I can't be there. If we're mixing it up, or if people have different rules. If my fiance lets him on the couch and I'm not home, he's going to think he can do it with me. He's not allowed to. He, again, is confused. Sets back training and makes for an unbalanced dog, because then they start to get nervous. They don't know what we want. If we don't give them a super, super clear picture of, I want you to do this when I say do it, they get confused. They're going to get more nervous. They don't want to be around us as much, because we're not giving them a full, this is what you're expected to do. Okay. Next we're going to move on. These are basically, just going to touch points on them. Next week we're going to go into those a little bit more in detail too. I just want to give it like a quick run around. Different ways to correct different behaviors. There's extinction. If you ignore it, it goes away. It does actually work. If my dog is jumping on me, like Saturn jumping, I ignore him, it's not working. If he sits and I pet him, he's going to pick up very, very quickly that if he's not jumping on me and he's sitting, he gets attention. Granted, extinction normally only works with small dogs. If you have an 80-pound dog jumping on you, you're probably going to move. And the minute you move, that's a reward. That's what a lot of people don't get when they have a dog jumping on them. They either cross their hands or step into them. You still move, the dog still won. So if I'm pushing Katie and she moves, I win. I moved her. That's part of the game. I win. She loses. They're going to continue to do it, which is why for big dogs that doesn't work. The minute they jump, we step back. The dog won. Punishment. There's positive and negative. Negative is not the correction like with a collar. Negative is actually, you like this ball, I said sit, you didn't sit, the ball goes away. I'm removing what he wants. Positive punishment is I'm adding something you don't want. So my dog does wear a correction collar. He doesn't listen, he gets a correction, I'm adding something he doesn't want to happen. It's kind of confusing. It's really important to know those things when working with a ton of different dogs. Some dogs it works really well, I'm just going to remove what you want. My dog is a super high drive working dog. If I take the ball and put it on a shelf, he's going to eat my door to get the ball. It's not going to work. I have to actually correct him and be like, no, stop. Once he does the behavior I want, bam, you get your toy right off the bat. Stimulus control, it's I think I'm saying that right, Pavlov's theory where he did the feeding the dogs, you hear a bell, you get the food, you hear a bell, get the food. That's stimulus control. I'm controlling something you want. It's also a conditioned response. The clicker is a conditioned reinforcement. The food is not. Food is something that they naturally need. Naturally they need water, food, oxygen, that kind of stuff. A toy, as much as my dog thinks he needs it to live, he does not need it. It's a conditioned reward. Kind of keep that in theory. If you do a clicker, it has to be a conditioned reward. So it has to be food or toy, something that's conditioned that they get, that you can pair together. Love doesn't really count. You can't do like, okay, you click and I'm going to pet you. You're too far away. With clicker training, like if we're doing open a door, and I'm over here and I click, I have to run over there and pet him. it's not gonna work the same way, so it has to be food or a toy or something of that nature to do with clicker training. We've got shaping. Shaping is one of the most fun things to do. It's where you shape the dog into doing something you want, so all your basic obedience is going to be shaping other than heel. Shaping, I'm shaping Saturn to sit, so I'm shaping the behavior I want, and then he gets a reward. Reward. So that'd be like, if I'm holding a treat, putting it over his nose, I'm shaping him into a behavior. Molding is where you actually take the dog and you push them down, and then reward. Telling you guys all this because some are going to work on some dogs, some are not going to work on them. My dog, if I were to mold him, he'd probably bite me, because he doesn't like it. He's like, I don't like being touched like that. He's a more dominant dog. Molding him and pushing him into a position is going to make him really mad. It has to be his idea. The other shepherd mix that I have, you can do anything to her, as long as she gets a reward out of it. She's like, oh hey, this is okay, you can push my butt down, I like it. That's okay, I get a reward out of it. Prompting and fading. I try and stay away from prompting. It's really hard to get away from. Prompting is basically that beg and repeat. A lot of pet owners hold their hands up when they ask the dog to do something. They're basically begging the dog. So if I'm holding my hands up and I tell Saturn, sit, and then I don't have a treat all of a sudden, they know you don't have a treat. So prompting is when you're really heavy on the treats, you're really using a lot of food-based rewards. That dog is going to find out really quick if you don't have a reward every single time. He's not going to do it unless you have the reward. The best method I've found out is to do half prompting, half I just expect you to do it. Because then if I'm with my dog, we're working, I don't have a reward, I tell him to sit, he should probably sit. Even if I don't have a reward, just based off the relationship, I asked you to do it, just do it please. Instead of, here's a treat, I'll beg you. At school we had one dog, it was an older pet dog. All they did for training was prompt the dog. So unless you held your hand like this, the dog would not listen to you at all. It took a good week and a half to break him out of, I have to hold my hand like this to get you to sit. Also, a lot of us use hand signals, I'm guessing, when you're working with your dogs. Hand signals are great. I talk with my hands a lot, so I automatically put them in with my dog. You actually have a better trained dog if you can stand completely still and tell your dog to do something. It's 10 times better trained if it's all on verbal, and then you can add in hand signals later. Just because hand signals, dogs can read body language. My dog is trained completely in German, 100%, he's never had English. If I point down and I say down, he's gonna lay down. He has no idea what that word is, but it's enough with the hand signal. Again, it's better if I can stand completely like this from a distance and be able to command him without anything. More for safety reasons, if I'm walking, I take my dog on a lot of like demo stuff. If I say sit, he should just sit. Even if I'm across the room and he's over here, if I say sit, he should do it regardless, the minute he hears my voice. Yep.
Is vice versa true? I mean, if you can't use verbal,
For like a deaf dog or for?
no, well, yes, if implying that the dog is already deaf, that's fine too, but I mean, just using hand signals from a distance, is that still?
You can. It's a lot harder to be able to control from a distance. It's a lot easier to add in the hand signal later. It's better if the dog has the verbal first.
Okay.
Add in the hand signal after the fact. Otherwise, you can't. If you start out with a hand signal, you can't really transition back without a lot of work. If my dog relies completely on me bringing my hand up, and all of a sudden he can't see me, my dog is a working dog, we do like searches for criminals, it's a sport. If I send him into a dark room, he better be able to find the person, even if I can't show him a hand like go search. If I send him over and it's completely black, he better be able to find it regardless. Versus following a hand completely, if that makes sense.
Right. Then, well, I guess in a shelter environment, you have rooms full of dogs, and it becomes very hard to hear.
With that, you could add in the hand signal. Afterwards, dogs have really good hearing. You'd be surprised what they can tune out. Like with my dog, we do it under gunfire. You could have a bunch of gunfire going off. I could still whisper to him, sit. His butt hits the ground. Because they can, even if you don't think they can hear you, they know what you're saying. If you say sit and look at them, even though they might be like, I can't hear you, that's a choice they're making. They're like, I don't want to hear you. I would rather jump on you and be excited to see you. I don't want to sit and wait for a leash to be put on. Chain. If you ever do trick training, which, especially for fosters, tricks make dogs 100 times more adoptable. I don't know why the general public loves tricks. I can show a room full of people all the cool working things my dog can do, the awesome obedience, the perfect skills. If I'm sitting on a couch, I tell my dog to go get me a drink out of the fridge. People fawn over that way quicker than the thousands of hours I took to get my dog to respond to a cue. If you can meet with an adopter and be like, oh look, this dog can do this, 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 and this, and this, that dog just got way more valuable in their eyes. It's way more fun. It's going to be way more of a pet. They can show their friends it, be like, hey, look at this dog I got from the shelter that can go and get me a drink out of the fridge. Makes them way cooler. I don't know why that is more valuable to people than obedience. For whatever reason, with every foster that I've worked with, I used to foster dogs, people like the tricks better than the, hey, the dog will sit when you open the door. Again, I would do the obedience because that's an added, but if you can do some tricks with the dog, people are like, oh, hey, look, my kids like it, the kids get a kick out of it. If a dog can walk backwards, the kids are like, oh, hey, look at this. And then they want to show it off. Chaining, we're going to go into, that'll probably be more next week. It also works if you're doing like a recall, come to me and sit. That's all chaining. Basically, every command you do that's not sit or down is going to be a chained reaction. You start with the end result. My dog, I want you to come and sit right here. So we're going to start with you sitting right here, treat, treat, treat. I'm going to take a step back. You come sit right here, treat, treat, treat. You back chain it, so it starts. Basically, you start with the ending behavior that you want and then add in the steps that you want to go with. Problem behaviors, this is probably going to be what we talk more about next week. I thought I'd throw it in just with how dogs learn so we kind of understand what they're doing a little bit more. Whenever there's a problem behavior, the first thing you want to do is rule out medical. Always, even if you don't think it could be anything to do with medical, the dog could be chewing up stuff, it could have something wrong with its teeth. And any trainer that you work with, any professional trainer is going to ask you, has the dog been seen by a vet and been tested for everything like that? Just because it's a liability for me, if I go and work with the dog and we try and teach it something and then the dog is sick, I just wasted a bunch of your money because I can't fix what your dog is doing. It's a medical reason. The next thing that any trainer is going to ask you, the breed. I brought a Border Collie mix with me. Super smart dog, super nervous dog. I will never be able to train out her nervousness. She's always going to walk into a place nervous. Nothing has happened to her to make her nervous. Her breed. Border Collies are either really, really anxious and happy, or they're more reserved and laid back. I don't know why, that's just their breeding. Shepherds are more cautious typically. They're like, you know, maybe I want you to pet me, maybe I'd rather just stick with my person. Kind of depends on the breeding and the lines and all that with the dog. Finally, we go through environment. It could totally just be the environment the dog is in that is causing the behavior. If my dog is barking, 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 barking in the backyard, there could be a dog on the other side of the fence that makes him mad. Environment. We can't train out because that dog is there, it's always going to bother him. We're going to have to find a different area for him to get his mind off of that. Maybe like more toys, more stuff to do to keep his mind off of it. That kind of thing. After you rule out all of those, which is good in a shelter environment, hit those 3 steps first. What could make your dog act this way? Then you can actually move on to the training. If you start with the training before these, it could work. It could also not work, and you could build frustration in yourself. Again, you want to kind of go with those. The final point we're going to talk about is a quote that came from my instructor in Texas. Behaviors we can change. So if my dog is jumping on me, it's a behavior. I can change that. Characteristics and personality we cannot change. If the dog is more nervy and more nervous, we can't change that. Moxie has been socialized off the roof. She is still nervous. She will always be nervous. That's never going to change. Nico is a super dominant dog. Again, he's had thousands of hours of professional training. He's always going to be a dominant dog. It's a personality, it's a characteristic, it doesn't change. Any questions on any of this stuff before we do some of the hands-on stuff? Okay, perfect. I'm going to go grab the other 3 dogs, and then we'll get like volunteers and we'll do different aspects of that. Would you mind grabbing? The little one is Saturn, that's actually Katie, she's a coworker of mine, that's her dog. You guys are familiar with the Wheatland puppy mill. He's one of those dogs who lived 4 years in the puppy mill. Perfect example of what normal shelter dogs are going to be like, built a lot of puppy mills. Moxie was a Flava Dog alumni. She was originally I got her as a trick dog and an agility dog for competition. Charm, some of you may recognize her. She was at the Grand Forks Pound. She came as a foster for me, she never left. Picture perfect dog from like a rescue right here.
Foster failure.
It was a really bad, and everyone knew it didn't last. She now lives with my mom. Her training's not up to par like it should be, because she's my mom's dog. Pet-wise, she's perfect. She doesn't really need the training. She's one of those dogs you can just kind of put in the house and she's like, okay, I'm good. This is Nico. You might see dogs like him in the shelter. He's probably what we're going to focus on the most. He came from, I can't remember which base he originally came from. I picked him up in the Minot Air Force Base. He's from Military Working Lines. He is a protection and drug dog. Extremely high drive, extremely dominant, more aggressive. You wouldn't really guess it until he does it. And then you're going to know very quickly, oh, never mind, this is that oh crap moment. I brought all three of them to kind of talk about I tried to cover as much of the spectrum as I could. You have skittish, most of them are rescues other than him. Sometimes you find a dog like him in a shelter. It's good to know how to deal with them. How I would deal with him is 10 times different than her. I could do basically anything and Charm doesn't care. I could grab her face, I could give her kisses. Charm's like, okay, this is good. That was Nell. Charm also was, well, when we got her, I don't know how she was in the shelter. She was super fearful when we got her. She was more prone to snap at people. She was a fear biter is what it was. She did get a few people, like when we walked it in for training purposes. I have a few select friends that I use for stuff like that. They love me for it. They did get bit by her a few times, not enough. Like, they don't leave marks. Fear bites normally don't leave marks. They might. You're going to know right off the bat if it's a fear bite, if the dog bites and backs up really, really quick. Automatically a fear bite, that dog doesn't want to. It wants to create space. Hey, come here. Place. Nico. He's not a fan of small dogs, so it kills him to be with a small dog. Stop. Fear bite 101 right here. If we approach her in the wrong way, she will do what she has to create space. Saturn is fearful. He's going to just go submissive. He's not going to bite. He's not going to do anything. You could think of it as just fear. It's terrified, so he's not going to react. Moxie might bite. She's probably not going to. She's more just going to back up, try and create space. Nico doesn't care. Nico is going to bite you. If he thinks that you deserve to be bit, he's going to bite you. It's going to be a decent bite. He'll bite and grab and hold on. Those are your really dominant, high drive, I don't care, super confident. Nico's confidence is off the roof. He will tackle anything. He will jump 8-foot walls, doesn't matter. He will jump over a wall into a black pit. If the ball goes over there, that's where he's going to go. A lot of dogs don't have that kind of confidence. Our goal as rescuers and all that should be to get those dogs to have that confidence. Without that confidence, they can't train as easily just because they don't know. They're always second guessing, should I do this, should I do this, should I? He doesn't care if I say do it, he's like, okay, let's go. That's why we brought him. He's my actual dog, so I trust him a little more. I trust her too. I don't live with these two. Again, Saturn's not going to do anything. So we're going to do a quick demo of approaching a dog. How you approach a dog is wonders. If you approach them in a bad way, they're going to react badly 9 times out of 10. Do you want to take these three and kind of go into the back? And who wants to be a volunteer? I won't let him bite you, I promise. Hey, come here. Maybe.
He's just going to.
Yeah. The party's going this way.
Come on, Saturn.
And then, do you guys actually have an extra leash? I forgot a leash. Someone?
Yep.
Awesome.
I'll grab it.
Totally came prepared with enough leashes. He's normally off leash, I didn't even think about it.
I love how her nose wasn't supposed to go off the thing, so it gets to the very end.
He's ridiculous. Perfect example of no matter how much training you do, it's still a dog. Highly trained dog is actually working on his drug certification. Highly trained can be in any situation, still a dog. He's still going to screw up. I'm not going to get mad at him. It is what it is. You're not playing with the small dog.
How old is he?
He's a year and a half.
Oh, really? That's it?
So, prime example. He looks super friendly. I let him go, he's going to go after Saturn.
Oh.
He does not want to play. He does not want to be friends with Saturn. He's like, I probably want to eat Saturn. I don't want to hang out with them.
If you got him from the Air Force, did they retire him or did he work?
No,
for
there was
them?
a puppy litter that they had.
Okay.
Not all their not all their litters go into
Okay.
working. My dad had really good connections, so it worked.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Is that just something then, you said he'd go after Saturn, is that just something that's in part of his breed?
It's breed. I
That's
will
not
never
something-
train that out. It doesn't matter. He was raised with a cat. He got from puppyhood because I didn't want him to be that way. It's his breeding. He's a Malinois German Shepherd. They typically have higher drives. Again, characteristics, I will never get him out. He's controlled enough. He rode in a kennel in the car with Saturn. He was able to stiff Saturn. If Saturn took off running, he's going to go after him. Same with a lot of shelter dogs.
So do you think he'd hurt him?
Yep.
He would.
Yep.
That's just trained
It's not even trained. It's just natural.
behavior.
Yep, again, he was raised with small dogs, cats, kids. He's super stable. He goes to demos a lot. He's trained to work in schools. If a little kid takes off running, again, he's going to go after it. Just in him, that prey drive is so high that we can't train that out. And that's this nervousness, like, I need to go see. It's not that, oh, hey, it's my friend leaving. It's, no matter how cute he looks, like, oh, I think I like that dog, has nothing to do with that. You said you wanted to volunteer?
Sure.
Okay. You have a hood on, that's even perfect.
You know, often people at the shelter, they may have another dog at home, or is this something you should tell them about certain breeds that
Absolutely.
you probably shouldn't have this type of dog with?
Absolutely. A lot of rescues let people come in and they're like, oh, I like this dog, it looks nice. It may destroy their house. It's better to show them this dog is not your dog. Again, Nico would bite somebody. He has no problem with it. This is actually a hidden bite sleeve. He will bite without it. Doesn't matter. If you take off running and he's given the command, he's going to launch and bite. That is trained. I couldn't do that training without the behavior there. That's why they breed for it. A lot of if they have a working past, a lot of them have that drives. If you ever get a Malinois in the shelter, I think you guys had one. They're a very different breed. They should probably only go to someone with a lot of experience. Some bully breeds need a lot of experience. Some are going to be a perfect first-time dog. It's best to do a temp evaluation and kind of decide where you go from there on each dog. This dog I would not trust with kids. Just because if they're playing and running around, he's going to bite them. Because they're running around, it's in him to go after them. Raised with kids, always been around them. I have little cousins he's with. Doesn't matter, they start running, he reacts. It's not trained in, it's just a natural behavior of him. Okay, we're going to kind of do a quick little example of if you approach the dog in a threatening manner, how they react. He's trained, so he acts a little bit more aggressive towards it. Still, if you approach them in the wrong manner, that's how most of them will react. If you want to actually put your hood up. Okay. Working with dogs, it's always best not to have any hoods, hats, anything like that. They can't see us the right way. Okay, do you want to walk 6?
He's already not.
Yeah. And then basically you're just going to walk around the corner, turn around, come back.
Okay.
Very stiff, maybe put your hands in your pocket.
Okay.
Stare them down, make
Okay.
complete eye
Up to
contact.
something.
Yep, make complete eye contact. Yep.
Okay.
So he's
Good
sitting.
tonight.
You don't have to make eye contact?
Yep, she is. Wait.
Wow.
Again, this is trained. He's going to react quicker when walking. So loose leash, he's watching what he's doing. Bitch. And then just kind of walk up to him.
Still make that contact?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, very inquisitive. He's like, I don't know what you're doing. I have no idea why you're behaving that way. Normally I wouldn't put pressure on the leash. I don't trust him enough to not bite him. Go ahead and walk away. And then turn around and walk back up to him, just like you're even if she's coming to talk to me and not paying attention to her. He's still, I'm not sure. Walk back out, put your hat off, hood off. Sit. And then just go ahead and walk up to him and pet him. And be smiley, be friendly. And then when you get to him, turn to the side. So way friendlier, he's like, hey, I understand. Friendly language. And this dog would be the one that he would do it to me too. If I approach him in the wrong way, he's going to react the same way. Any dog is, we're going to grab Charm. She's not trained to do it. If you approach them in the wrong way, different reactions. Give me 2 seconds, I'm going to swap dogs here. Oh, we're not doing that.
It's kind of like my hair
Hey,
color.
Allison, do you want me to hold him out there, or will he be good with the little dog?
You want to hold him out here, actually? Or you can hold him in
I
here.
love that. I like just at first. Go, go, go. Yep. And then it's like, oh yeah, okay, everybody.
Okay, I'm sorry, what was your first name too?
Kylie.
Carly?
Kylie.
Kylie, okay, I like that.
This one's Carly, actually. I know we work together. It gets confusing.
Okay, so go ahead and go back out there, hat on.
Okay.
Same thing you did with him.
Okay.
Sit. Sit. Are we buddies now? Okay, then just turn around whenever you're ready, walk back in.
Okay.
Alrighty, she knows they know something's up. They're like, I don't know. This dog has had no training for protection, anything like that. Totally natural response. Okay, so that head tilt, that's aversion. I don't want to. It's total aversion. Okay, walk out. If she were to turn quickly, that's when the dog is going to bite. Also, if you're ever dealing with a dog when you're first meeting them, don't ever turn away from them. It's free game, they will bite down here. Almost every single time. If you walk up, back away slowly, you have a better chance. Like if you're ever stuck in a kennel with a dog, it decides, hey, I don't like you, you can just back away. It works way better. Okay, so Kylie, if you want to come out, act normal.
Okay, hat off.
Hat off.
Okay.
What's the point when they can't see your face?
They can't understand. They can actually read facial expressions. She has no idea. She has no idea what you want. She has no idea. She can't read you. You're approaching her in a threatening manner. She knows you're staring at her. She can't see if you're friendly, foe. She has no idea. She's going to be inquisitive. She gave the perfect signal. She did the head tilt. When they kind of go like this, there's a total aversion. They want nothing to do with you. Going and pushing yourself on a dog that's going like this, lip licking, backing up, any of that stuff, could cause them either more fear or to go into a reactive state, like a fear bite, something like that. Again, approach the right way. She's like, okay, we can be friends. Approach the wrong way. She's like, I don't really know. If you move too quick, I'm probably going to maybe snap at you.
So it sounds like open body language.
Is
just
perfect. Yep.
and talk.
Yep. If you can talk to them, dogs read body language perfectly. They actually don't need any kind of verbal communication for the most part. If you act friendly to them, easygoing, loose, I'm not here to do anything to you. You can see my face. As cheesy as it sounds, if you smile at them, they know. There's been tons of studies. Dogs actually can read your face, your facial expressions. That's why they're man's best friend, because they form, for whatever reason, nobody knows why, that facial expression, they can understand what we want. So when Kylie walked up like, hey, what are you doing? She's like, I'd rather not. She walks up like, hey, puppy, what's up? Tom's like, okay, this could maybe be okay. Right. We're going to grab Moxie. I'm going to have you do the same thing. Moxie's a little bit more skittish than she is. She's a very even-tempered, easygoing, I don't really care kind of dog. Moxie's more high-strung, more all of this kind of stuff. She's a very vocal dog. Okay, so go out, hat on. I know I'll make you do so much work.
Can I just put the hoodie up, or do you want the hat on
Yeah,
too?
you can put the hoodie up.
Okay.
Total, just same thing. Walk up to her.
Okay.
Oh.
You kind of want this. I don't want anything to do with this person.
Were you staring at her?
Yeah, I was
Take
making
one,
eye
walk
contact
out,
with her
foot
too.
off, walk up normally, and with her, you're
Okay.
actually going to, when you get to her,
Yeah.
don't pet her, turn to the side, and let
Okay.
her approach you, and then pet her.
Okay.
Did she just have one little spot on your back of color?
She does. She didn't have it at first. Okay, then just turn to the side. Nope, face on. Don't be face on. Turn to the side.
To the
And
side.
kneel
Okay.
down. Yep.
And kneel down. Okay.
Yeah. And go and collar. Yep. Perfect. Now she's like, okay, I think this might be okay.
We're scared.
You can put your hand out.
Probably did that too fast.
She's more trust.
Good girl.
She's like, I'm still not sure with this dog. I wouldn't push it. I wouldn't continue to be like, hey, come here, puppy, come here, puppy, come here, puppy. This is all the signs I don't want to. Her motivation, her reward, is for Kylie to leave her alone. Walk away, leave her alone, walk back up, try it again a different day. By building up that repetition, like, I'm not going to force you into it. I'm not going to make you do it. She's going to trust me 10 times more because I'm not forcing her into it. I'm not like, let me love you, come here, let me love you. You can have your space, I'll have mine. We'll get along fine. That kind of thing. So again, totally different dogs. Charm, you could be like, let me love you. Because she's like, okay, I'll love you back. Moxie wants nothing to do with it. She's like, I'm telling you I don't want to. Body language, she's avoiding tails tucked. She's kind of shaking, her lips are licking. There's a ton of little signals you can see. This dog has gone, she's titled in an AKC agility. She's gone to a ton of places. She does obedience. Still nervous, it's a characteristic. It will never change. It's her personality. Right, Moxie, no matter how much we socialize her, she's gone, our Shields in Fargo is dog friendly. She's gone there, reacts the same way to every single person she doesn't want to. I tell people not to pet my dog. I know it sounds really mean. As a trainer, I don't let people pet my dogs ever. A, they don't need to. So when you're working with, it's a good thing to kind of tell when a dog gets adopted. Tell people you don't need 20 people coming over to see the new dog. Build a relationship first. Nico ran in here, he doesn't really care about a bunch of people. He's looking for what we're going to do. He's like, what are we going to do, what are we going to do? I could also have him at a dog park. The minute I say come here, he will leave playing and come to me. We built the relationship, which is a good thing to stress with adopters. Most adopters, again, I've worked with For Love a Dog, so from experience, hey, I got a new dog, who wants to come meet it? And then you get the dog returned a few weeks later, I wonder why. If they push it, and their kids, and their friends, and their family, and everyone comes and sees this dog, it's going to freak out. It's going to be like, I have no idea what is going on. I just met you. You've made me meet 20 different people. They could go fear. They could go destructive. They could go aggressive. There's a lot of different things that they could do. It's best to be like, form a bond with your new dog first. Above all else, start that first. Wait a month or two. Don't invite a bunch of people over to see your dog. They don't need to. Your dog, unless you have that happy-go-lucky lab that doesn't care, if you have a dog like her, she would have been returned. She's not friendly. If someone wanted a family dog that could go to barbecues, that's not it. She doesn't want people petting her. Charm will go to barbecues and hang out and be like, hey, let's do this, let's do this. It's better to match the person, what they're wanting, with the dog's personality. She also is horrible with kids. She's a border collie, she nips her ankles. People don't like it. If I take off running, she nips my ankles. She's a border collie, that's what they do. A lot of them get returned. It bit my kid. Did your kid run? Yes. It's a border collie. It's trying to herd your kids is what it's doing. Yes.
So I have a practical question here because I'm a volunteer at the Circle of Friends, and they let me go back now to work with the new dogs to just come in. And I'd like to know just some general, a crash course for a dog that has never met me. I'm not going to really, it's going to be hard to bond. How can I know whether to go in that cage or not? And how do I approach this dog? And they're all different things.
That is a perfect question. There's a blanket way to actually do all dogs. I don't know if the Circle of Friends does a temp test. That'd probably be step number one, get a temp test, get a written out, this dog temp tested in this way, which we're going to kind of go over. We're doing it a little bit now, figuring out how the dog does things. Best way, generally walk past the kennel, put food in there. Walk past the kennel, put food in. Walk past the kennel, put food in. Even though you don't think you are, you're building a relationship. You may not think that you're doing it. You're bringing good things to the plate. You're not taking things from the dog. You're like, hey, I'm not doing anything.
Even if
Food,
he's
food,
cowering in the back.
Doesn't matter. So he may not eat it for days. Doesn't matter. I'm still offering you something. Eventually,
So
that dog's going to come out of the shell.
That day, though, I may not be able to take that dog out.
Nope, and
Or I
that's something you
shouldn't.
do. I wouldn't push it. You know, a lot of times they're cowering in the back. You want to make friends. You feel bad. You're like, hey, come here, puppy, puppy, puppy. That scares the dog. The dog's like, no, I really don't want to. The closer you get, even if you do the whole on the side, on the knee, still terrifying him. Moxie, no matter how hard she tried, Moxie's like, I really don't want to. If you work days and days and days and build up that relationship, she's going to be like, oh, hey, this is okay. I think I like you. Build it up. The next thing you want to do, don't ever walk up to the kennel face first. It's a huge thing. Even if you're going to open the kennel, try and do it from the side first and have your body at least somewhat slanted. It's a huge body language. I'm not threatening in any way at all. If I'm slanted and not looking at you, I'm not going to do anything. If I walk up like this, hi puppy, that dog is only this big. I'm towering over it. They're like, you know, I don't think I like this idea. They can bring those dogs back in too. No, I'm just kidding. Katie, you can bring everybody else back up this way.
Including Nico?
Yeah, he Do you actually want to take her? We're going to do a little, still practical, you just take her and go sit. Whoa, that's so Max, come. Sit. Okay, so 101 not to do. Her eyes are huge, whale-eyed. This is freaking her out. So just call her with you. Don't do a tight leash, total loose leash. And just start walking away and just be like, let's go. And just ignore her. Let's go.
I'm gonna get back in there.
If you could just sit.
I'll just sit up here.
Another thing you can do when you can finally get the dog out, if they're still acting like this. Moxie wants nothing to do with it. She's like, no, I don't want this. Just go sit in a corner. Go sit in a chair, read a book, ignore them. That's what she wants right now. She wants to be ignored. She doesn't want Kylie, right? She doesn't want Kylie to pet her or to feed her. If Kylie offered her a treat, she won't take it. Tails tucked, wants nothing with it. Nico will always take food. She'll be like, yes, give me food. I will always take it. With her, if you, oh, you are not going over there. With her, if you just take her an hour a day, sit with her, ignore, she's going to bond with you very, very quickly. Quicker than any other person, because it's not a threatening manner. It's, I understand we can actually coexist and not be terrified of each other. Maxie, no, don't take those stuff up the hun.
I don't know if I'm that polar box man or
Here, just keep it on like a small, like a little bit looser.
Okay.
Another thing, you don't want that tight leash. That I'm making you make the choice to be with me. Whenever you're working with a dog, other than him, because he's a jerk right now, you want to have a loose leash. Even if you're working with heel, you want to build up that relationship on a loose leash. Dog training should always be about them making the choice. He makes the choice to sit or not. You are being horrible today. Did you know that? Again, they make the choice. His leash should always be like this. He does do a correction collar. Some dogs do, some dogs don't. We'll talk about that more with the hands-on kind of stuff. They should, no matter what.
I was like, I'm crossing my feet.
And again, just totally, if she keeps ignoring her, she's going to build a bond way quicker. So if she was in a shelter, she was in the room with the new dogs, Kylie went up, went and got her, totally ignore. Ignore. The best thing is, I don't know if Flickle Friends has slip leashes. Use those. Use those as much as you can. Because bending down and putting a collar on or clipping a leash can create something that they don't want. It creates, I'm in your space, I'm holding you down, I'm making you. Moxie, no.
Bring it.
Ouch. I'm making you. Kylie went up, she had to put the leash on. It was a needed thing, she had to do it. Freaked Moxie out, she's like, oh, no, I really don't trust you. If you can do a loose leash or a slip leash, hold the whole leash loose, slip it on the neck, be totally sideways. Charm has no idea I'm moving here. If I walk up like this though, and she's probably not because this is just Charm. If I walk up like this and try and grab her and do a bunch of stuff, she's going to notice really quickly that I'm there. We don't want them to notice that we're there. We want them to ignore us.
You know, we have a dog named Rasta, and he is, every time you approach him, he goes down, and he looks at you suspiciously. And the only way I approach him is with a loop.
Yep.
And do that. But even then, when I take him out,
He's super cautious,
and he has that head down, and he's looking at
and that is probably prone to fear biting. If you push and push and push, that would be the dog that I am going to create space. Fear biting is totally, I want space. Dogs do not bite out of fear because you're leaving them alone, because you're not doing anything. Dogs bite out of fear when you're approaching them and are making them do something that you want them to do that they're unsure of. With him, let's see how this goes, Nico. Place. So with him, so I have a loop leash, right, in the kennel. I'm going to use Charm as my bait dog. She's not going to care. She's not going to react like that. Because it's Charm. We will have you practice on Moxie.
Why did you like Carly so much?
Notice Carly totally ignored her. Moxie sniffed her. Carly did not move her hand. She ignored her. She kept her eyes on me. Very quick, Moxie's like, hey, I like you. We can do this. We can bond. You, I know I kind of set you up to fail because I made you approach her. Your hand after pet her and then you hold the leash. All things not to do. Perfect example right there. Carly completely ignored. Carly wanted nothing to do with the dog. She knew that. Moxie's like, okay, we're going to be best friends. I guarantee if Carly left, Moxie would probably follow her. Like, so with a dog like Rasta, best thing is to do, A, when he's in that state, that down state, don't put the leash on. You're just forcing him into doing it. And do it when you have time, because stuff like that takes a lot of time. So if he was afraid of me, I'd just sit here like this on the outside of the kennel. I'd probably bring a book and just sit there and sit on the floor and read. And then she's going to relax. Like, hey, we can do this. This is Charm. This isn't because I'm acting appropriately. This is the dog that doesn't care. Sit there for maybe half an hour, walk away. You didn't do anything to him. You didn't try and get him out of the kennel. You didn't mess with him. You didn't do anything. The minute he kind of picks his head up, acknowledges you, doesn't cower, then you're going to want to put the loop lead on. Don't reach out. One of the main things we do when we put a loop lead on is we bend and reach. That's sending a ton of mixed body language. A, we're bending down, which is submissive, but then we're extending our arm, which is aggressive. You're like, I don't know if you're being aggressive or submissive. I have no idea what you're doing. Walk up to the dog as close as you can get. Obviously look, because you have to be able to look. She's going to be super calm because she's charmed. But put it on, and then I would just walk away. Let's go. And she's like, okay, let's go. We're leaving. Not you.
Rasta changes so much too, once you get him out of the kennel, he's,
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
but
part
he's
of it
like,
is he's
oh,
got that
awesome,
barrier for
And that might be an environment, which is what you'd want to check. If it's environment, get the leash on, pull him out, be like, no, we're leaving, point blank.
So basically, it's like you were talking about, you stand up, none of it, you just, no, I just gotta do this.
I feel like I want nothing to do. You want to make it as non-directional as possible. So if he changes, if you get him out of the kennel and he's like, okay, we can play, we're good, I'm not afraid of you anymore, just put the leash on. Don't say his name, don't acknowledge him, put the leash on, walk away. Let's go. I'm not going to say let's go. I'm not going to make him associate me at all. I'm going to leash him and we're going to leave until you can be in a more comfortable setting. Then I'd acknowledge him.
Another problem with Rasta, and correct me if I'm wrong, you guys, but like because of the kennel setting, a lot of the dogs right now are pit bull mixes that are reacting to the other dogs. And so even like when you go and leash him in the kennel and you're trying to leave, he starts reacting with the other dogs. And so
Yeah.
that's part of like
probably part of it.
another issue to tackle, as well as leashing the dog and getting him out.
Get him, don't let him get up. Big thing, and as Ross said, big dog, small dog.
Pit.
Okay, so you're going to have a lot of muscle. As much as you can, do not let him get to the gates. Get him in the center. I haven't been in a circle
he's
of
right at
friends.
the door.
He is.
Right at the door?
Yeah.
If possible, I would maybe move that particular dog to the door that you can get him out of.
Yeah,
Whichever
he's
door
already
he is there. Okay,
Yeah.
I was confused. I thought you were like on the other end and you could walk
There's
him past.
we have two doors.
Don't let him acknowledge the dogs. That would be good. He doesn't get to make a choice. I'm going to make you. We're going to get a super short leash. You're going to follow me all the way out. The minute we get through that door, freedom. You get to be released. Moxie.
The problem with Rasta too, because I'm one of the few people that take him out, is that, and we learned this the hard way, that just certain dogs will rile him up, and then once he gets going, you pull him away, and then he's good, except for he turns to you then, because it's like he has that aggression. He doesn't realize he's not going at the dog anymore,
Yeah, he has no.
and it's weird because you can see he doesn't mean it at you, like you can
Does
tell,
he have?
but it's just it takes him a second to realize, and then he's okay, and he'll be fine. Like he won't go at
Like
you
he
again, but you have to hold him away.
Does he have toy drive?
I don't
No,
No.
you put a toy in there and he looks at it,
Doesn't
looks
care.
at you.
I would try a tug if he has that pent up aggression. So basically, it's gonna look kind of like that sleeve. It's a log. It should have brought one. I didn't even think about bringing one. Teach him to take frustration out on that. You can take all your frustration out on this. Every time you get there, if he gets aggressive, be like, hey, what's this? He's gonna eventually start redirecting to that. Let him carry it off if he has to. I used to go running with him. My instructors had helped me go running with him because he wanted to bite me. If I run, he'd bite my arms every single time. I put a ball in his mouth, he'll run for 5 miles with that ball in his mouth. He will not nip me, he will not go after bunnies, he will not do anything. As long as that ball is in his mouth, he's like, I'm happy. Problem solved. Super, super easy fix. Even if he's not super toy drive driven, get him with a tug. Do like a, I'm guessing in the pits normally have some kind of prey drive. Attach it to a leash, drag it, be like, hey, it's a fun game. He can redirect to that always. That's his kind of safe zone. You can be freaked out, you can be upset that the dogs are there. Put this in your mouth, it's your pacifier, you're happy. At school we had a, Nico, you are being such a butt today.
Does he kennel?
He does, but he'll probably bark.
Okay.
But I thought that
It's,
No,
I thought it wasn't a good idea to play tug with the dog. That
they
makes
need,
them
a lot of
aggressive.
people do that, or that's a well-known fact. It's not really a fact. It can be a great way to get pent-up anxiety out. Make sure you can win. Do not start playing with tug with the dog that they win the toy. If they win the toy, that's where that aggression possession builds. If I'm playing with him and I say oust, game's done, it's mine. It's my possession, I'm letting you borrow it. You can borrow it while I say okay. If I say we're done, it's mine again, you can't have it again. That's where you control that aggression. It doesn't build the aggression, it takes out the frustration, but you always win. I wouldn't recommend letting two dogs play tug. How do you decide who wins? There's no really way to just, if he and Charm start playing tug, she's submissive, so he's going to win, but if she wasn't, that can cause a dog fight, which is that aggression. Tug of war, as long as you always win the game, every single time, Again, that's a consistency thing. You have to be able to get it. Don't play tug with a 90-pound pit bull that's not going to let you have it. Because if they win, they're going to be like, this is mine. You don't get this. This is mine now, not yours. Sits. Which is where, again, with toys, if that dog is possessive, he's possessive. He does not like me to have any of his stuff, his toys. We worked on it. I'm like, no, this is technically my ball. If I want this ball, it's going to be mine. I did get my hand bit 10 times because I would just hold it and he'd bite my hand because he didn't care. Any kind of toy-driven dog that you have, you want to teach, this is mine. I possess this. This is mine, not yours. With any dog, it's good to possess whatever they want. None of the stuff is theirs. I know we like to think of them as our kids. This is their bed. This is their ball, and they like it. We don't want to give them any possessions. Stop. Because once they get the possessions, it can build up other things. If I let him have possession over the toy, there'd be no way. When I first started working with him, when he got older, any other dog sitting by that ball would have been lunch meat. Because it's his. He wants it. He now knows that ball is mine. I can grab it. I can hold it. I can hold it in front of you. I can hold it up to your face. Still my ball. You still don't get to have it until I say, okay, go get it. But the minute I say drop it or his is ours, game's done, it's mine. We want to build that up with each dog. On our last class, we do the practical with the shelter dogs. It's a huge thing about giving it up, it's mine. Here you can have it, give it up, it's mine. Here you can have it. It also helps with possession in the long run, possession of anything other than food that's not a food possessive thing that helps out. Food possession is a totally different aspect. You can get past it. You can't prevent it in any way, though, for the most part. Does anybody else have any questions before we kind of move on?
Just one more thing about Roston. Once I have her out then, she, with me anyway, I tried, she's still very leery. I will sit down and see if she'll come up to me. She goes behind me. She won't approach me. So should I just take her out and just walk her, keep her close to me and ignore her?
I wouldn't necessarily walk her. That's giving her an out. With Kylie, I made Moxie had to deal with it. I said, take the leash, go. Don't force her to be with you. Don't make her be with you. She's still sitting by her. She's way more comfortable. She was laying by Kylie with her paw. She was comfortable enough to touch and to go to sleep. Kylie completely ignored her. She didn't pull her in. She's not walking. If I was walking, if Kylie takes off walking, Moxie's going to pull. She's going to try and get away. If Kylie holds her close to her, that's a forced, I'm making you stay with me. We don't want to make them stay with anything.
Kept on trying not to do, then she's too far away.
That's okay. Just keep her on don't change her leash. So if you're going to hold her there, keep her at that length.
Okay.
She's already way more comfortable. You could probably try and talk to her now, be like, hey, what's up?
Hey, what's up?
See, now she's like, okay, this could be, okay, granted, she's a more trained, conditioned dog. Normally that takes way longer with dogs first starting out. If you completely ignore, and like I said, it sounds totally opposite of what our human nature. Our human nature is, I want to make you loved. I want to show you I love you. I want to show you I care about you. They're like, just leave me alone. I really don't want anything to do with you. I don't want to play. I don't want food. Kylie is rewarding Moxie by leaving her alone. By completely not paying any attention to her, she is rewarding Moxie totally, just like what Carly did. Carly was sitting there the entire time, totally, she had nothing to do with the dog. She did not say hi, she did not acknowledge her, she did not, Moxie went up and sniffed her. I watched her, she stayed focused, she was watching me the entire time, her hand stayed still. Moxie's like, this is safe. You could probably take her and walk away and she'd be like, okay, we can be friends. Any other person takes her, she's gonna be like, backtrack. Again, with the shelter, when you're working, it's good to communicate with your fellow volunteers, fosters, whoever is dealing with the dog, if there's multiple people dealing with it. Make sure every single person is doing the exact same thing. Because if one person is waiting for the dog and coddling the dog, and the other person's like, nope, let's just go, the dog is not black and white. She has no idea what she's expecting when she comes out of the kennel. She doesn't know, is she going to be just taken out into a better area? Is she going to have to sit there and worry about this person being there? Is she going to have food thrown at her? Is she going to be pushed into being taken out? We want to stay super, super consistent the entire time.
I think the issue out there is compounded when non-volunteers, customers, they're the ones that are at the cage though, doing this. They're just,
And, yep,
and I think that's confusing them too, because they're the ones, they don't know it, but they're
Exactly.
facing them like this and doing this,
exactly. And that's
And
us
then-
as
you know.
us as volunteers. If we take them back there, we need to tell them this, 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 this. When they go back there, they should know the rules. It should be posted. Okay, approach when you approach. Do the side. We want to educate everybody, not just the volunteers. If it is a dog, like shut Shasta?
Ross.
Rasta.
Rasta.
So he's
Shasta's a
Shasta.
boy, by the way.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, so a dog like Rasta,
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't let a customer go up and see him. I'd probably be like, if someone's interested in adopting him, I'd bring him out. If we let someone go up to see him, he's going to be afraid. They're going to see a dog that they don't want. They're going to be like, I don't want this dog. It's sitting kind of in the back away from me.
Yeah.
If we bring it out and be like, hey, look at this dog, kind of show obedience, be like, Rasta sit, he sits, Rasta down, he lays down calmly, they get to pet him.
He shakes.
Automatically that makes that dog 10 times more, hey, I can see this dog in my house, in my setting with my kids. He's kennel aggressive, horribly. When he's in school, we had to kind of rig the kennel because he would also run his pads, he would bleed out his pads. Because he would bounce, he'd be on the cement, he'd bounce off the kennel, circle through into a giant circle, over and over and over and over. We had to break it because I couldn't get my dog out of the kennel. He'd go after me, he was so pent up with anxiety, he's like, I'm going to bite whatever comes close to me. We broke up his kennel, it was a run, so we put a dog kennel in it, he couldn't bounce off of it anymore. And then we gave him a ton of toys. So when a dog walked by, he'd get mad, he'd bite the ball. Dog get mad, he'd bite the ball. When I'd get him out of the kennel, I'm like, here, take your toy, shove a toy in his mouth, and then we'd walk out of the kennels. Be like, hey, we can be friends, you don't have to go after the dogs, you can chew on this ball. Toys, with any dog that is semi-toy driven, will be your best friend. You can do so much with them that you don't think about doing. Just with the toy. With a dog that has a high toy drive, I would automatically give them a ball right off the bat to get them out of the kennels. It teaches them, hey, if you're calm, I'm going to give you a toy, we're going to leave. Hey, you're calm, I'm going to give you a toy, we leave. You're calm, toy, we leave. Eventually they're just going to expect it. They're going to be like, hey, I'm going to sit calmly, you're going to give me a toy, we're going to walk out of here calmly and go with it from there.
We had a dog for a while that was extremely toy driven. We called him a toy hoarder. Because he would walk into other empty kennels and take the toys out.
Honestly, those are the most fun dogs to work with too. It's the stuff you can get them, like him, if I show him his ball, his eyes dilate, he's like, oh my gosh, I need it so bad.
You know, you make a really good point. It's kind of problematic the way the kennels and shelters are set up.
It
It's
is, yeah.
people coming in constantly, in and out, and there's the cage just right there.
Another thing I would recommend doing, especially with the shelter with people coming in and out, have a bucket. Are all the dogs on the same dog food for the most part?
Yeah.
Okay. Have a bucket of the dog food before you walk into the door.
Yeah.
Tell them to take a handful, put a few in each kennel, do a cycle, and then take a second to look at the dogs.
We have treat buckets at every kennel.
That would be, I
Oh,
would really
okay.
push people, say, give him a treat, walk past. So don't be like, hold a treat, don't be like, hey, take
Yeah.
a treat, take a treat. He's really a food hog, toy hog, everything. So if you think, he'll train for air treats, actually, to be honest. But if you're walking through a kennel system, and they are walking, put the treat in, put the treat in, put the treat in, then calmly go out and look for what dog you would like to look at. A, that's going to build up the dogs. Hey, people mean treats. I'm going to come to the door. B, it also builds up a quiet environment. It doesn't sound like it would. Nico, where do you think you're going?
Adventure.
It also builds up a quiet environment. One of our tasks at school, they did a shelter there too because we worked with shelter dogs. We all brought our own dog and we worked with shelter dogs. They had, I think, like 250 dogs at this establishment. So a lot of dogs. Most of the kennels were full. We had to get our kennel with our rescue dogs to be completely quiet when people walked in. It's super hard to get 50 rescue dogs in kennels to be quiet when you walk in. However, when you get it to that point, it's awesome because you can walk in there, you can get your dog, everyone's calm and collected, and yes.
What treats did you use?
We use dog food.
Dog food.
Yep, every single time because it's new to them. I mean, milk bones are a little bit fattier, they're a little bit harder to chew. Dog food is just easier for us. And we just had a bucket sitting on the outside. When the dog was quiet, they got a treat. When the dog was quiet, they got a treat.
Like
When the dog was
kibble.
quiet, yeah, we just
Okay.
put kibble in the food.
Okay.
Dog was hyper and jumping at the kennel. You don't get a treat, I'm going to walk past you. We did it like 10 times each. Eventually that entire kennel was completely quiet. They all sat at their doors and waited. They're like, hey, where's my food? Even if they weren't being the ones to take it out, they didn't care. They were still getting something good out of it. Right now, the dogs at the shelter don't know. They're like, hey, am I getting taken? What's going on? And then we take one of you out and then the rest of you stay. For this, at least everyone does get some positive reward. Yes.
Question with that. We have some dogs that they don't eat all our food, and it doesn't interest them. So is it
Sometimes it's even more exciting. We had dogs like that too,
Okay.
still offer it.
okay, so sometimes I can still win them over even if they don't eat
Half
all
the
our
time
food.
they would have a bucket full of food and they'd still eat the ones we gave them.
Okay.
Just because it's different.
All right.
Someone gave it to me, I think I want it.
It's a little difficult because we've got half of our dogs up front right now. I think are on some kind of special food.
With that, you want to kind of be careful. I'd maybe just do like whatever is safe for them, and then talk to your staff with it. Do their like buckets on each treat or with each kennel instead of just a massive bucket. Do their food, do their food, do their food, and then just use like a general bucket. You can also, if your staff has treat pouches, you can have some things just sectioned off. If you've got like 20 dogs that have special food, that might be hard and it'd be better to do the individual buckets. But if you only like 1 or 2, you can just separate the food that way, and then just do a big round. Sits. Any other questions on that aspect? Okay, we're going to do a little bit of a practice. It's going to be a little bit chaotic. We're going to take these 3 out. We're all going to let you have a chance to approach Nico the correct way and then the wrong way. Also kind of nice to feel that the dog is barking at you. If you show fear, he's going to react 10 times more. If he's barking at you and you're afraid of him, he's going to be like, oh, hey, yeah, I'm going to do it more and more and more. If you just ignore him, he's going to be like, okay, I really don't care, actually. So, if you want to take these 3 out,
I wasn't sure what to do with her because like she's going to pull away and I'm
just,
like, I don't
just ignore perfectly what you're chewing on. But
Alright.
with her, just ignore. Yep. Just like perfect example of the 2, I kind of set you up to fail because you approached her wrong, and then Mike was like, I really don't trust you. Carly had nothing to do with it, totally ignored her. It was great. So if you guys kind of want, again, this is going to be more like the practical. Each session we're going to do a little bit more practical at the end. We're going to have you guys approach the wrong way. You don't have to put hoods up because he'll probably still react. Approach in a more dominant, like, hey, I'm going to do something to you. And then walk out, and the next time you cycle through, be super friendly and be like, hey, what's up? This is okay. Oh, she took a
Do you like stare or something?
Yep. Do everything inappropriate that you can. Yep. Hands in pocket, be kind of nervous, be a little bit more like, hey, come up really fast.
Oh yeah, well that's because I'm here. Have you met me? Dogs love that. I forget we're being recorded.
Got it all.
Okay, so again, maybe if like 10 of you, you don't all have to do it, we just want to get a few more people doing it. If 10 of you want to go out, we're going to do exactly what Kylie did. You don't have to, because you just did it. If you want to. Okay, so whoever wants to come up first, hands in pocket.
It was just straight up German Shepherd, but
Just don't walk up too closely to him. Don't get like too close.
so it was like,
So yeah, freaking her out. He's like, I don't like this.
I don't know what now.
Just go walk away. And that's the bite. Right there. That would be what I'm going to bite you there. Sit.
Yeah, you have to walk up nice.
Yeah, that I'm going to walk away from you really quick.
Do I look nice or do other people go
No,
mean?
other people.
Okay.
Sit. Boy, sit.
I'm away with that. It's apparently you're not scary as far
Yeah, you're not scary.
You're weird. I'm like a robot.
Animal senseless.
Okay, so one automatic right off the bat. Wave of aggression. Walk really quickly like you're afraid. And there's that. Sit.
Think about that.
I'm going to bite you and walk you away quickly. I'm afraid. Whoever's next sits.
People looks nice sitting in their chair.
I don't know. Okay, notice he was totally okay with walking up anyway. He turned around, walked quickly. I'm going to bite you. Sits. Calm.
Charlie be barking.
Yeah, you're not scary enough.
You're smiling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now
Go
we're
ahead, walk up. No, keep it bark. That's okay. Walk up normal. When you get to him, turn to your side. Turn to your side.
Hi, are we gonna be buddies?
Okay, this is okay.
Oh, thank you for your buddiness. Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna walk away.
Walk. Be fine. See
I'm
that?
gonna walk away now.
I understand. Okay. He lives in protection. He's going to work where other dogs wouldn't. Stop.
Hi, Nico.
When you get children around,
Someone should have
Hi. How are you?
okay, this part you guys do have to trust me on. He's going to act like he wants to bite you. He's not going to be allowed to. He's not going to if you approach him the right way. So again, totally, he's like, okay, we can do this. Notice, he did something interesting with her. When she walked up, he jumped on her. That's not an I'm friendly to see you. That's I'm super dominant. I'm going to hug you. We're going to see how this goes. So again, she'd been dominant back to him. Dominant back to him. He would have been very, very mad. Go and walk up, friendly, just normal. Just walk up normal.
Nico.
No, sweetheart.
He's like, that's my name.
Turn to your side and be like, hey, bud.
Hello. Hello.
And I
And again, that's I'm super dominant.
Yep.
I'm going to let you know right off the bat who's going to be.
So he's saying, I'll be your friend, but I'm gonna be the boss.
We're going to be friends as long as I get to be in charge. This kind of dog does end up in the shelter, unfortunately, way more often than we would like to think,
Mm-hmm.
because nobody wants to own it. And that's those aggressive dogs that get put to
You're
sleep.
too tall.
Because we don't know in the right owner, right manner, he's not going to bite anybody. He doesn't want to. He just wants to be the boss. We have to control. We have to be like, no, since I'm not going to tell him he's not going to be the boss, because he's going to get super mad. I've gotten bitten by my own dog trying to dominate him, be like, hey, listen, listen, listen. I don't know how many of you watch Caesar Milan. On a dominant dog, it doesn't work. Heads up, it hurts. In the long run. He was screwing up. I pinched his side, and he grabbed my arm. He's like, no, we're not going to play this game. I'm going to bite you back. With him, I had to build a relationship. We had to learn to bond. I can correct him now. I can be like, knock it off. I can do a lot to him. There's a mutual respect between this dog and me.
What about you and your fiance? Does he have different issues with him though?
He does. Nico does not listen to what he says. Because
So will he attack him though?
He would. He would attack me. In all honesty, some dogs don't care. His drive is high enough. He doesn't care if it's me, if it's my fiance, if it's someone he hasn't met. If it could be a guy with a gun or a kid, doesn't matter. If he thinks it's a wrong situation, this kind of dog cannot be trusted to make those kind of choices. It has to be commanded. It has to be on my terms. If I say okay, yes, okay, you can bite, go ahead and bite to sleep. I told you you can. He has to have an out. If we didn't do drug work and protection with him, he probably would be put to sleep by now from biting someone. You have to give some dogs an out. Six.
Just like a dog that needs
Yep,
jobs.
some dogs need jobs. Like any of these kind of dogs are probably going to need a job. A lot of shepherds can do house homes. Some cannot. It depends on lines. Border Collies, Labs, some have different lines, which we as rescuers need to be able to understand. Because again, if he's in a shelter, he's going to be a jerk. He's going to dominate every single dog. He's going to jump on people just like that, and if you watch each person, even when they approach the right way, he's going to jump and hug. Go ahead and walk up, friendly. And turn to the side. So he's being totally appropriate, and Nico's like, we'll see. Go ahead and bend down and pet him. Head held high. That is, I am still very, very confident. If you screw up, I'm going to let you know. His whole posturing, the head over his shoulder, we see it as, oh, he likes him. He's super friendly. He's super dominant. He's like, we're going to behave a certain way. I'm going to show you what we're going to do right off the bat. If I work this dog like I do Charm, it's not going to end well for me. Because Charm is going to tolerate it. Charm's going to be like, I don't care. Sits. He's going to be like, you're not going to do it. So, go ahead and walk up, friendly. You were super friendly the first time. Again, there's that, I'm going to jump, I'm going to headbutt you first.
He's being friendly, but he's also establishing a
He's
boss.
establishing dominance. He's like, hey.
Wow.
Some dogs are purely excited, which when we do the practical part, we're going to do each dog and kind of be like, okay, this dog's actually excited. He's not excited. He's like, I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to let you know what's up right off the bat.
He's like, yeah, I thought you were pretty
And that,
friendly the
all of
first
that,
time.
with him, if we just push off, it's a characteristic. It's not, I'm going to jump and bounce off of you. It's, we're going to see how this goes. That's a trained, you have to sit. You have to sit, you have to not do that. So I think we're at the end of the row, right? So basically, I'm going to have you walk up one more time.
Me?
Yep, you. He liked you the first time.
So friendly?
So I'm making him sit. No, sit.
Oh, it's not me.
So he has to sit. He doesn't get to get up. Nope, sits. Again, he's still trying. He's like, I'm going to be dominant. He continues. So I'm making him not be dominant.
But,
I'm like,
but he
I'm
would
choosing.
bite someone else who would do that, wouldn't he?
Yes, you have to build up that trust. Like I said, honestly, most dogs are going to be this. This was bred in over years and years and years. Some dogs are going to have a small degree of this. That's where your obedience needs to be rock solid. It has to be perfect. It has to be, stop, we're done. The obedience on him has to be spot on because he will on. We're done.
So let me ask you, we're fostering a Lincoln right now, and
Okay.
I've noticed sometimes if I grab him on the back, he will go to bite. But he's a baby otherwise. Is that,
That could be, is he facing away from you?
he's facing away and he'll do something and or sometimes I just grab him, I don't even think about it. He will turn around
That
and
could
bite.
be
He never
startled.
will bite. But
That could be I'm startled. I don't know.
Okay.
Some dogs, like I said, it's not always very few. I just wanted to show you this. Getting a dog like this in a shelter is going to be harder to deal with. It's also one of those dogs that we need to be able to evaluate. This dog should not go to a pet home. He's probably just startled.
yeah, I mean, he would,
Right
and
off
he never does bite. He turns
Turns
around
to-
and goes, and so I'm wondering, did someone do something to him or no, I'm just scared.
Probably not. It's probably just, hey, by the way, pinch, 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 I'm paying attention to you.
Okay.
He still notices. He's like, hey, what's up? He's more focused on whoever's going to come through the door next right now. Right off the bat, and it sounds bad, I wouldn't do a home with kids with him. They could startle him, it could react to a bite. They could run up, scare him, something like that. It's those little things that we have to, as fosters, pay attention with, and then be the voice for our dog. I know a lot of rescues would be like, they just want to get the dog adopted. Dog adopted, good. Dog adopted, good. That's great. Well, then they're getting a ton of returns. Because they gave that dog to a kid or a family of 5 kids. One of the babies grabbed the dog turned and bit the kid. Perfect example.
So even if he doesn't really bite me,
It
he's
could
still warning
eventually,
me.
it's a
Okay.
warning. You're smart enough. You're like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
A kid might not be. They might fall on him. He might turn around and bite them.
Okay.
Again, it sounds bad because we're limiting their homes.
you
But
wanna
if we get them in the right home the first time,
to the place where he doesn't
they're not gonna
move
cycle
again.
back. Like I said, with him, he could only go to a working home only. And that's, we're done. And with that, it's good to foster or partner up with someone. Like, there's a place in South Dakota that does search and rescue. Some dogs need that kind of out. They need a job, a totally different job. Service dogs, a lot of service dogs from shelters. I train service dogs. I'm the person that goes and looks at shelters. Find as many of those people as you can to help partner with your dogs. Also, as sad as it sounds, some dogs are pets. Some dogs don't. He doesn't want to be a pet. If I let him go, he would go and look for the person that's hiding right now. If he thinks someone's hiding, he gets to go and bite him. Yes.
How does he behave? Like, are you training him to do this stuff right now, or is he actually working right now?
This, he thinks he's working. He's always working.
Okay,
He
so
never
like
cuts
when he
off.
does the drug sniffing and stuff,
All the
like,
time.
he's actually doing that right now.
First
Like,
thing when
that's-
he comes in here, he's gonna
Okay.
smell everything.
Okay,
I
so
can't.
now, like, does he, when he's in a work setting, does he behave this way?
This is that high drive. He's looking for a job to do. He's not used to sitting here.
Okay.
He's waiting. He knows the sleeve is there to begin with. He's like, oh, what are we doing? What are we doing? There's a ton of people. He's automatically going to search for drugs. Normally, he does have a pinch collar on. He's called until we send him out to search. This is more I'm confused. This is I'm not being black and white. He's waiting. He never really does obedience demos. He normally only does working demos. So he's like, I don't know what I'm doing. Should I be looking? There's a big area. I should be looking for something. I should be finding a person, finding a dog. Or not a dog, a drug, something. So this is, I'm a working dog. I shouldn't be in this situation. That's that anxiety, waiting for something else to happen kind of thing.
Does this kind of dog show much play or affection?
Not affection. I was
Okay.
actually telling Katie when I first walked in, he won't cuddle with me. I can make him, I can call him to me, I can say Nico sits, Nico plots, okay, come cuddle. And then I have to make him cuddle.
But
The minute I let him go, he's done. He's like,
isn't
okay.
respect almost like affection from him because that's kind of the most you're
I'm
gonna
making,
get?
yep, I'm
is that
making
he
it.
respects you.
Exactly, yep. I have to I didn't want a cuddly dog. He doesn't want to lay in bed and watch TV with me. He would rather be chasing his ball or something.
So if he's your dog though, when your fiance comes into the picture, does he get territorial? He's not like that.
He's not that bad.
Okay.
He's not, it's not with me. He's trained to work with any single, Leslie could take him on drug search. He'd perform the exact same way with me.
Okay.
He's totally work driven. that ball, wherever it went, is way more important to him than I am. In all honesty, if Leslie took the ball, and he could be like, Cam, you're a dog, let's go. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, whatever else. So he's not with Will, works with him also. In a household, it's really important not to have this is my dog. It could cause issues with the other person. Since.
So this kind of dog is really less a pet.
Exactly.
This is the all business.
This is, he wants to be let loose to go find something. Or to bite someone, to do something. He wants to find. This is an all business. We put him in the kennel, he's all amped up. He thinks he's going to a job. Which, very seldom do you get a dog in the shelter like that. Most of them go to police officers, search and rescue, independent dealers, stuff like that. Every now and then you get someone that, okay, there's a backyard breeder, they happen to have lines that were different. I bought them from a pet store, I bit off way more than I can chew. That's where we need to know how to deal with them completely differently. Placing certain dogs in certain drives in certain homes could end very, very badly. Again, if a kid took off running, he would bite him. He'd have no problem biting him. Since.
Well, we get a lot of, it's the short time I've been there, we get quite a few returns because of
The wrong
they
dog
didn't
in
know
the
what
wrong
they're
home.
getting into, yeah, and they just give up on the dog.
Exactly.
You know, don't take it to training.
When you get somebody that are like, oh, this one's cute, and you're like, well, yeah, it's cute, but it's
And
breed
that's-
traits, and all this might not go with your family, but they just don't even listen.
That's the big thing where we have to step and be like, actually, this is not the dog for you. We have to be able to tell them, you don't want this dog. Destroyed more things than I would like to admit. He has destroyed my vehicles. I left him out of the vehicle, out of his kennel. Well, he got mad, so he ripped the paneling. I'm like, okay, thank you. Again, I can't get mad at him. It's him. It's his. He's destructive. That's what he does. I have to be smart enough to control it.
I wish I could tell people that about, every time we have a husky mix,
They're
my
high-end.
God, everybody wants them
Wants
because
it,
they're
yeah.
so
They're a
beautiful.
sled dog.
But it's like, they come back, you said they tore the crap out of the place.
Yep, I wonder why.
Well, we'll get that a lot, at least in my, because I used to work at a kennel as well. And you just get that experience of working with dogs, so you know certain things, like huskies are stubborn, huskies are high energy.
Huskies are a
need
special
help.
breed of dog in their own.
And then, you know, you can't, I mean, like, especially, long story, but like, we couldn't be picky with who we let have homes because it just was not an option. Like,
Yeah,
they were, otherwise they would be killed.
exactly. And that's unfortunate when
But
that
then
does happen.
sometimes they don't listen to you, where they're like, "Oh, that's cute.
I like
You
this
work at a
stuff.
kennel. What do you know?" And so it's like, how do you? How do you prove that you're like, okay?
Exactly.
Not only am I
what
moderately
do we
intelligent
know?
human, but I have enough experience. Like, what do you do to, like, validate your? I guess your.
Yeah, it's just like blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
but there's, you know,
I mean, I don't know if there's a way to make yourself
I'll
seem
take
more
these guys.
credible.
I like to know.
No.
I'm gonna have her run him outside to hopefully calm him down a little bit more. Maybe.
Kelly.
Kelly.
You might be
We also get people that, we had a guy come in once who wanted an aggressive dog, and he
I
thought
would
that
never
was a
do
sign
that.
of,
Yeah, I'm gonna just shut the door.
that was good.
I don't.
Aggression is fear driven now, right?
Aggression, normally, 9 times out of 10, it's fear driven. With her, we've done bite sleeve with her a few times, see if it was an out. I do the bite sleeve a lot, to be completely honest, to test how far you're gonna go, mostly because I don't wanna get bit. So if I'm testing a dog, are you going to actually bite me? Are you gonna nip and run away? That's typically the easiest to tell if it's true on aggression. She, at certain points when she would get afraid of people, she would do the full run on woof, 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 woof. She'd get to him, run away. She never follows through. She's like, no, I'm not actually gonna do it. I'm gonna act like I'm gonna do it. Hence why I use that. I wouldn't recommend a ton of people use it. I've been trained in it, so I feel confident in it. Most dogs aren't gonna go for just that. You have to present it in a certain way, all of that kind of stuff. With her, she never did. She has no desire to bite that at all. She's like, I don't really want to. That would be if she's going to bite, completely 100% fear, no aggression. Nico's going to be 100% aggression. I'm going to bite you because I can, because I want to, all of that kind of stuff. So even though you see the dog that runs up to the kennel, woof, 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 the hackles are up, all of that kind of stuff, the chance of them actually being aggressive is not very, very high. Maxie, please. Another thing I did want to touch base on, medical issues are a huge, huge thing that you don't want to push. I don't know if you guys can see Charm's back feet. She's been to the doctor, no idea what's up with them. Maybe if you can kind of, they're kind of deformed, you've had x-rays, all that, nobody really knows. I think there's like a birth defect. They get sore. With her, if she's up, I'm not going, I can push her, sit. If she does a whole lot of resistance, I'm not going to make her. I'm going to make her just respect me the comfortable way that she can. Because if I push her and push her and push her, that alone can cause an aggressive reaction. If she's in pain and I'm like, no, sit, she could be like, stop, it hurts, I'm done. Same with like dogs that are, it could be hip dysplasia that we can't see. So if they're super, super resistant, like she will not sit. She's like, no, I'm good. If she's super resistant, I'm not gonna make her do it. I'm gonna check out what's wrong first. I'll hold this one. For him, he might be resistant because he's a jerk. I'm still gonna make you do it. There's nothing wrong with this dog. So every time his butt comes up, push you back down. There's no reservations with a totally healthy dog. With her, it could be causing her pain, which isn't fair. Yes.
But we, we walk our dogs in the morning, and, we have, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but we have to make them sit at the door before they go outside.
Yes.
Some of them hold it all night long, so they look at you like, I'm not sitting.
Yeah.
Let me outside. I
Or
got
else.
pee, lady.
With that, I would still make him do it.
Okay.
The door thing is a total respect thing.
Mhm.
It's a significant area. That door they want to go through first. They could be thinking, I really have to pee. He sits. He's being super resilient. He doesn't want to listen to me right now. Again, I still make him. You still have to do it no matter how bad you don't want to. The next thing with that kind of thing, and this will be more hands-on, but you guys will kind of talk about it, so we'll touch base. You say it once. You don't continue like sit, 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 sit. They're going to start to ignore you. If I say sit, he doesn't sit, butt goes down. Good boy, yes, good job. There's no, I'm going to beg, I'm going to ask you. There's no, hey, sit, sit, sit. He's going to look at me like, probably not. I'm not going to.
He looks like Marty's sitting.
Exactly. He's like, I am. But with that, even if they do have to pee, I know one of the people at For Love a Dog, they let their dogs pull on their walks because they're kenneled all day. I get that they're kenneled all day. If we let them pull on our walks, when they get adopted and they're in a house all day, they're still going to pull. Doesn't matter. Rules are rules 24/7. Always. If I say sit at the door, you have to sit. If I say sit at the door, you have to sit. Heel always means heel. A good blanket policy, the dog should never be allowed to pull in general. Again, that's not being consistent.
Now that I don't know if anyone else wants to speak up. That's a hard one. I had a question here about how do we, when I'm taking a dog out there, always pulling. What do
That will
I've
touch.
stopped and.
That's that's case
Is
by
it
case.
realistic for shelter?
It is. I've worked with a ton of shelter dogs, super consistency. I'd walk them, they don't pull. Someone else walks them, they're like, oh, gone. We're going to talk about training tools.
Okay.
We're going to talk about safety of them. Some people are totally against them. Some dogs totally need it. You've seen him without it. He's haywire. He's like, oh, what's this? Positive reinforcement only with this particular kind of dog does not work. Negative or positive punishment with charm freaks out you. If you each differently, that's what we'll do that third week with the actual shelter dogs and do an totally customized training lesson basically. Each dog has to be customized different. You can't do, if you go to an obedience class, 10 times out of 10 it's going to be a blanket policy. That doesn't work with half the dogs. Half the dogs it's going to work with, half of them it's not going to work with at all because that's not how that dog works. So it's more of a custom, yes.
I'm sorry. Getting back to the, when you talked about how, people walk by and they're all up in, I've heard that the Fargo shelter doesn't let anybody walk through their kennels unless they're absolutely interested in adopting.
They have to have.
Do you disagree or agree with
I
that?
agree.
You agree? Okay.
I agree because a lot of people are, oh, I want to go pet the puppies. So a lot of them are like, oh, I'm going to pet you and I'm going to pet you, and they're going to completely mess up your system. I know in Fargo, unless you're adopting the dog, they won't let you see it at all. You don't need to come and see, after your application is filled out and you've been approved and everything, then yes, come see our dog, someone will meet with you. You can get to know them then. But if you're just, hey, I'm going to walk in and want to see them, I think the Humane Society might. They're going to ask you more questions. But like For Love a Dog has a shelter and nobody's allowed in there ever, other than volunteers. It's not an open to the public. When they do open it to the public, it's just the main part of it, not the shelter area. Stop.
Are we gonna, because you're not like a huge human, and clearly you can control very strong dogs. So, we have some that are, especially the pits, are very just crazy strong dogs. So are we gonna learn a bit of like how we can, okay.
It's called defensive handling. It will save your
Okay,
life.
cool.
You will be super happy. If you guys have noticed with him, I'm a little bit rougher with him.
Oh no.
Uh-oh. Oh, I found
See,
it.
I am God now, evidently. Everybody. So basically, defensive handling, huge in shelters. You guys have noticed him, I'm probably a little bit rougher. The way I treat him is not how I'm going to treat either of those 3 dogs. Because him, I can sit there and go like this. He's like, okay, that's fine. I don't care. With him, notice when he's barking, I bring the collar up, knock it off. Because if he wanted to pull me, he could. No problem. When I had to lower the protection stuff, he did pull me. And that sucked. It was not fun. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not very fun. I don't like this anymore. When my teachers actually taught me, hey, this is how you hold the leash, this is what you do. Leash holding alone makes a huge difference. I didn't think it would. A lot of people do the blanket through this, like this. This is one of the worst ways to hold the leash. You get your hand up. I found that out really quick. Someone at my school did. They were doing protection work. The dog took off, lamb bolted, should have fractured her wrist. She had to go to the doctor. So again, I would never recommend putting my hand through here, nor would you ever wrap all of that stuff. How you hold your leash is a huge... It's hard to kind of explain because it's so like a natural thing to hold a leash. That normally we just do it. When you do it a certain way, it makes life way easier. Collar placement too makes life way easier. If you notice, I bring his collar up. The higher it is up here, the better control you have over the dog. Other than head halters, I don't really ever recommend those. Just because I've used them, they don't work like they're supposed to.
Yeah, there's like different opinions on head halters.
There is.
Different opinions.
Most professional trainers that have gone through the certification will tell you not to use it. A lot of the, sadly in North Dakota we don't have many of them. It's more just pet obedience, I learned from so-and-so and then pass down all of that kind of stuff. So they will recommend it. All it does is stop the dog. It doesn't give the, there's no training with it. It does not give the dog a choice at all. Because basically if I have his muzzle, he can't go anywhere. Which if I have his collar and I'm like, please stay with me, and he does it out of respect, he's going to hold it way, way longer.
So what you're saying is that the head halter will stop the pulling,
But it's not going
once
to
you
train
take
the dog.
that off, it's
They're gonna
not
start
they're
pulling.
gonna.
Yep.
Okay.
Every single time. Right. We did that. Or it could turn out really bad, they could slip it. There's some other things that can happen with it. Anybody have any other questions regarding that kind of stuff? Okay, we're going to probably do 2 more practicals. I'm going to have you meet these 3 now. Totally different. Approach them how you see fit. I'm going to have Leslie hold one, Katie's going to hold one, I'm going to hold one, so kind of disperse. I'm probably going to take Moxie for the most part because Charm's good to go. Still approach her in the right way. But for the most part, she's going to be the dog that I don't really care. Doesn't bother me. He's hopefully going to sit and stay. So each we're going to kind of disperse, and then we're going to use one more volunteer, whoever wants to, probably Katie, just because we're going to do the bite sleeve unless anybody's dying to get in it. Just to kind of
list.
No, just to kind of show those when you turn quick, those short movements, that will get that bite. Granted, yes, he is trained to do it. Any dog's going to do it. He's trained to do it just out of a natural reaction. We just rewarded it. We trained it on a cue. Most dogs, and this one's not going to be on cue, I'm not going to tell them. If you do it in a certain way, or if you're playing with a dog and you go to run away from them, that could be like even a play bite, because it's natural. So we're going to go ahead and disperse. Katie, if you want to go back there, and then maybe hand Charm to Leslie. Foxy.
You should be walking down the street to the work.
Okay, and obviously this one's going to be the hardest. Nico, please. This one's going to be the hardest. Really utilize the skills we talked about. Don't really talk to her. Walk up slowly. Turn to the side. Bend down. Super slow movements. All of that kind of stuff. Again, if you guys kind of want to spurs out, make sure you hit each dog. It's important. With Saturn as a puppy mill dog, really don't push him. If he walks up to you, let him sniff you. Same with that. Same with that kind of thing. Okay, break. Nico, please.
You want the fencing.
Perfect.
You remember me, don't you? 'Cause I remember you.
She does that for her feet. What are you, buddy? Yeah.
Okay, you can kind of talk to
Is
her.
it okay if I touch you?
Oh,
Yeah.
so here's so pretty.
Ignore me and
There's so
I noticed this won't be environment. You guys are paying attention. They're walking. She's watching them. She hasn't noticed you guys at all.
So,
Oh, she's like, oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So he's way better with females than men. He's a 5 or 6. So he was in there all but like a year.
Baby.
And actually, when you
Mine,
go to turn to the side,
She was abused by
Perfect.
children,
And just
like
sit
they
there,
just
don't
had
make eye
abandoned and
contact,
so
kind
she
of
was
like
Chihuahua
a
rat
see what
terrier,
you're
so they're really fragile. Anyway,
All dogs are baby.
so whatever kids are around her.
Okay, so this dog is still
But-
extremely nervous, even though she likes to pet her.
Yeah.
See how if you tried to grab her collar and make her do something, it's not going to work. So that's why with him, that's why skittish dogs need to build up
One to have people
that
that
trust
are
first
like,
before
I'm
anything.
just thinking kids do are like,
If shelters would hold these dogs longer, like not even up for adoption for a few weeks, it'd be work out better. See? Perfect. She's like, yes. Okay, but look how quick that works. She's like, hey, we can be friends. I like you.
It was funny though, cause like she let me pet her, it was like what,
Yeah.
petting her, and then I came up again and she was a girl.
And they will bounce back and forth, but it went way quicker this time.
Boyfriend got
Place.
She shoved her nose into my hand.
Okay, when you bent down, lean forward, she went back. She's like, no.
So do it from the side.
Do everything from the side, bend over, don't ignore them.
Your mass is smaller?
It is.
Or like you're just taking up, or is it just?
This is a non-dominant, I mean no hard place. This is, I'm not gonna do anything to it. Like I said, I do it to make it work. If it's a thing for you that's more comfortable, it doesn't. It's more your shoulders. It's definitely more your shoulders. The smaller you can make yourself.
I think there's a big dog.
Yeah, that's probably this one's Also, I want you to notice, keep the ball. This one's a toy-driven dog.
Everybody's now.
Way more fun. So we're almost pretense. The minute I take the ball back, it's like, well,
It's like we're not buddies.
I don't touch my hands. I think I'm doing all of that. So it might be fun. And then afterwards, if anybody wants to try it. Okay, so go walk away. You're gonna approach like they did.
Yeah, how did they approach? I was in the other.
Just walk up, but he's gonna do it anyways. He's looking at the face. So go ahead and don't give him the sleeve. Go towards the side with your hand and pet him. Okay, now walk away. Notice he was aggressive. She approached correctly. He's okay. Okay, good. Go ahead and come back up and then give him the sleeve. Go ahead and let him do it. Walk away quickly. Walk away quickly. No, he wants to come back. Okay, can you go ahead and come back? Give him the sleeve. He's barking. He thinks he's probably not gonna do it with right now. That is more. If you could, yeah, he's just gonna go in. Sit. Okay, so now we're running away. Builds it up, and now she's gonna have the small dog, which is gonna make it worse. Again, he was raised with him. 9 years old, he was with him the entire time. Doesn't matter. It's
But you
personality.
trust him with Saturn when you're,
Training in a controlled manner, but not if Saturn.
you never put him in the house and go out to lunch together.
Nope. Also, Saturn's a super, super calm, mellow. He's not gonna take off running. If Saturn was the dog that took off running, he wouldn't even be in the same room because he couldn't handle that kind of level of. This is that prey drive is so high, which some dogs do have. A lot of pets do have it, which is why they get that bad reputation, unfortunately. And it's not bad. It can be a lot of fun if you are training
Know
with
how to
it and
train
use
them.
it the right way. But it can also be really, really bad. If you give them to a house, they're like, oh, I want to get a dog that I can take to the dog park. Not everybody listens to dog park rules. They bring little dogs in big dog areas.
Yeah, you're excited.
I know. Okay, so walk up to him, and then go in the sleeve. Walk away quickly. Go back. Next.
Now what is with the terrifying you?
It's a super confident.
Oh,
He doesn't want to bite it, so I'm not entirely sure why. Because that's from your shoulder too, like bend down a little bit more.
Moxie, we're not playing.
Really?
Yeah, we're not playing right now.
Go ahead and let him out again. And then you're free. Stop moving. Okay. Okay, stop moving. Stop. He wants to bite it. He's like, I want you to stop moving. Hold on back if you ever do get bit by a dog. Stop it. Enough. Enough. If you ever do get bit by a dog, it's going to be scary. If you can stop moving, they're going to let go. Even if like a police dog, if they were sent after after you, going to bite you. If you don't move,
Not always.
you get bit by a dog. Sits.
Yeah, totally got bit by a police dog, and I did the whole like I just stood there like this in the corner, and it
Did he
just,
jump up and grab you?
just kept biting at me.
Did he never bite?
But no, he got my cheek. I had 6 stitches in my face, and he.
That's not
got
stable. That's
my
probably
legs.
not a stable dog to be
He's
completely
no, I
honest.
don't think so.
That's not a dog that should be
It's a
working.
police dog?
Okay.
To be honest,
Yeah, he was
Let's
military.
get back to the story.
Military. But so I guess
Military working dogs
in
are
theory
different.
they should
Okay.
stop. But
They do, yep. Like at school we had to do it. So I
yeah.
didn't have anything but to sit there. I'm like, oh my god, I'm going to get bit. And they will terrify you. They will try super hard.
I mean, it is best to
To get
stop. Regardless,
If
it's
you-
best to stop, and hopefully a handler
Like
will take
when
him
she
off
has
you.
him,
But
I'm gonna let him bite you. If you are, I feel like you want to get away. You're not listening today. So the more she moves, she can hit him, like hit his sides. She's like, I'm not going to let go. So if we're struggling a lot, the more she struggles, the more he's going to get into it. Doesn't matter. Stop moving. Just freeze.
it's like he's like, I win.
Yeah.
I try not to move, and that's how you get there.
So
It loses interest. Unfortunately, pit bulls are the only dog that doesn't work with. They will go after dead prey. This to him is dead prey. So when it stops moving, it's really not that much fun. Pit bulls are one of the only dogs that he's gonna get up. He's like move, 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 move. The minute she moves, it's gonna be game on again. And like I said, pit bulls are the only ones that doesn't work with because it's dead prey. They are okay with. They
You
still
don't know
want
for
it.
sure, right? And you have
Not
a better
every pit
chance
bull.
of not running with any dog if they.
She's not doing them sits. With the dog, it's hard to stop. Just some pits are the only dogs that don't want to do it. Some dogs, that's a not stable. He's pretty stable for the most part. He's gonna respond normally. Most dogs are. Military dogs are kind of. Military dogs are a little bit different because they don't care. Police dogs should be a little bit more even keel. Stop. Sits. Sits.
So in Grand Forks, I work for the city prosecutors, and in Grand Forks the last month we had 2 kids get bit really horribly bad, but both of them ran. I mean, the one they just gouged her whole legs are just gouged. I mean,
Yeah.
she needed extensive surgery. The other one, he just ran to his house.
Unfortunately.
And then they don't stop. I mean,
Unfortunately, that's the prey drive. He's been raised. Yeah, you can just give it to him. Okay, so now that he's happy, he has a pacifier. With him, I have. She's my dad's girlfriend's sister's daughter, so kind of like a nephew, niece, or whatever. Nico's been around her since he's a puppy. She's known him forever. They're super good friends. They ride the car together. He loves her. She can walk him. She's done the protection. She's done the handling, and let him bite the decoy. They've had a good relationship. He has high prey drive. My dad has a tire swing. That's enough to set him off. He was playing with the tire swing. She was like, "Oh, Nico!" She took off running. Luckily, he had an e-collar on. I was able to get him back. But that's where, oh, it's new prey, and that is unfortunately kids are gonna run. That's where we have to be responsible. And that's if we could get the public to be responsible. Keep your dog on a leash, Abe.
Right.
It's a dog from Moxie would bite you
Absolutely.
for that. But that's where we have to be more responsible as owners.
this one was the gate just was open, and the neighbor just attacked the neighbor's girl, saw it and ran as soon as he got the dog.
I did nothing. I was trying to be sneaky.
And again, this isn't trained. We do it with him because it's a natural behavior. This is him who he is. If I let her go, he wouldn't necessarily bite you because you're not threatening. He would try and get you to move and try and get you to play with him. Like you're talking about the tail wagging, it's a giant game. He loves it. He's like, yes, let's play. Most police, when they're searching for a suspect, their tail's like, oh yes, yes, let me find the person. Kind of push on the lazy people.
So it's just they're excited about working.
Yep, that's this anxiety, is whining. With a lot of kennel dogs, when you notice they're whining, that is an anxiety for multiple different reasons. This is, I want something to do. Yes.
How would our behavior person how would she, when she's training, how would we discover that they're prey driven?
Best thing to do, in all honesty,
So that we could say this dog cannot go to a house with children.
the best thing to do, I'm going to show you a perfect example. We're going to do Charm. Ooh, Charm is a shepherd mix. They're both shepherd mixes. I can get this off, maybe.
Who are you saying you saw me?
Okay, so I'll swap you. I'm gonna take this.
Okay.
Get a rag. It doesn't have to be bite sleeve. That's all I have right now. Get like a rag. And get this through. Maybe. And the best is like if you go to like a Shih Tzu training site, they've got leather rags. They last longer. That's probably the better route to go with.
We don't want to rest on the shelter.
And it's a super easy test. Super easy test with him. So this is dead. If it moves, go let him go. Right off the bat, he's like, I want to bite it. This is I want. He would be the I'm going to chase something down if it moves. So hold him back again. Ready, go. Same with flying. If I'm waving in front of him, there's movements. He's like, yes, I want this. Let him go. Still dead. He still wants it. Do you want to take him out? That way you can just drag his collar out.
So let's say it's like a dog, like a golden retriever.
We're gonna bring Charm out. So Leslie, do you wanna? Oh, I can grab Charm too. Someone wanna grab Charm? I need more people. I swear. Come on, Charm. Come.
Drag him all the way out, Allie?
What was that? Yeah, bring him all the way out because he'll go haywire.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna make her sit. Maybe if she wants to. Good. She can go with kids, they can run. She doesn't care. It's moving. It's like whatever. She doesn't pay any attention. No, it can wave in front of her. What's this? What is this? What is this?
So our
She doesn't care.
on the other end of the spectrum, are cats 99% of the time prey driven? Because they will chase things that move.
Almost 100% of the time.
Oh, yeah.
Because cats are
They're going for the mice, go to
exactly.
Yeah.
Anything that moves that's a prey driven. We don't train cats, so we don't notice it. Same with Moxie. Moxie, come. So Moxie, you love her. If I drag it, Moxie, sis. She has a little bit more interest, but not that aggression. Moxie.
Okay.
So what about the hunting dogs now? They're trained to retrieve, or if they go after something, that still means they're prey driven?
Not prey driven. Prey driven is that bite it.
Okay.
I want to kill it. I want to kill it. Nico, when it moved, she's like, yes. When it was a chomp, he's got teeth marks in it. I want to kill it.
So the bite is.
They can chase it. They can paddle at it because it's playful. It's a playful behavior. Like Moxie had interest. Moxie, what's this? Get it.
That's not prey driven.
No, this is playful. Hey, we could maybe play. Most dogs are not going to do that. If they clamp down, they're like, hey, mine. If someone takes off running 99% of the time, they're going to treat it like this piece of junk or whatever this is. Where Charm is that dog that's safe with everything. She doesn't care. The movement doesn't make her crazy. She's like, it can move.
Right.
This dog could go with kids, cats, dogs. She doesn't care. Even in this new setting, tons of people, she's going to go up to every single one of you and be like, hey, we can hang out. I like you.
Yeah.
Moxie has more of the prey drive. We have to take into consider the border collie that's not hurting. She's not a prey-driven dog. She doesn't want to kill this. Nico wants to kill it. Charm. Oh, you got okay. Thank you for coming back. Fine. You can paddle.
So like retrievers are just. Retrievers.
They're going to pounce on probably and playful. You can notice the difference.
Yeah.
If they're pouncing, wagging their tail, being like, oh yeah, pounce, pounce, pounce. I'm going to grab it with my paws. It's a play. Ooh, it's moving. I'm going to play with it. They might chase the kid. They're not going to do anything. If I'm waving it in front of him, he won it. He's like, yes. And granted, he knows what this is. I could wave a leash. Doesn't matter what I wave. If it moves, he's like, I need to have it now. So that's something we really want to watch when we're doing like different kinds of dogs. We want to watch what we're doing with them. Yes.
So like I used to have a West Island White Terrier, and she would I would play wrestle with my ex-boyfriend, and she would try to bite him. Was she protecting me, or was that something different?
It is a protection. She does it, and they will make contact. 95% of the time, they're not going to actually make blood draw. They're going to nip. They're going to play. It's semi-playful, I don't want you doing that. I would stop it, just because you don't want them in that mindset. You don't want them thinking they have to protect me, they have to protect me, they have to do it. You can let him back in. Nico, hey! Oh, that works too. So again, that's that zone in, I need to have whatever's moving. He would bite a kid. These two other dogs don't care. They're like, so safe-wise, I would do older kids with her. Because she's a border collie, take that into consideration. Charm could go with anything. She would let kids crawl on her. Doesn't matter what they do. Any other questions today?
Like, say we start doing this now, how do you recommend, if we do have dogs like Nico, how do we get the item back? Or, you know,
Get the what?
get the item back. Like, if we're, you
The
know,
item back, I wouldn't let him have it. You're gonna know, like, go ahead and hold Nico, grab his collar and hold him.
Nico.
If they're displaying, like when I drag it, Nico, hey. If they're that zoned in, that's not playful. A lab might be a little bit more like, hey, what's this, what's this? There's the pulling, the barking, the snapping. I want to get it.
so in the shelter, don't
Don't
even
let
let him get it.
I wouldn't even let him get it. I would just pick it up and walk away, put it away. Put it back
Okay.
in the kennel, let him calm down. Because that's, I want to get it really bad. They're probably going to be possessive and not let you have it back. So
Okay.
it's a really good question, though.
So what about, same thing for, like when we were talking about Rasta, we said, get him,
The tug, you want to work with it first. So
before giving it
before giving it to
him to release his energy.
Yeah, before
Work
you
on
do it
the
that way,
release.
you want to condition it first. Nico,
Okay.
Hey.
Okay.
No, else. Do the ball. Nico, hide. So play. The easiest way to get him to let go is bring it close to your thigh, hold it. He lets go, he gets it again. We want to condition that first.
Okay.
Once he
And
gets the
say a
out,
command.
Yep, I would use out drop. Don't say out or drop until he drops it.
Okay.
If we're telling him before he does it, we're telling him yes, tug, that means out. Out means yes, keep going.
Okay.
Because that's what I'm conditioning in your mind. Where again, he took out, he's now a super pent up energy. It's gonna be on the ball. He's like, I just need to want something. With a dog like Rasta, you want to get it conditioned first, do it in a calm setting, then move on to, yes, you can have it, but you want a strong out. Before you
Okay.
play any kind of tug, you want to be able to do an out, so you want to lay. Again, judge what you can do. If you have the movements down, I could do it with a 180-pound dog, but it's the right movements, the right tactics. Judge what you can do first. Don't ever, one of our, the biggest thing our instructors drilled into our dog, you don't have to train every single dog. You don't have to deal with every single dog. Sometimes it's best, I'm not comfortable with that dog, I'm going to avoid that dog. Don't feel like because I'm a dog rescuer, I have to be with every single dog. Most trainers won't deal with a dog like him, because he's a jerk. He is. He wants to do what he wants to do, that kind of thing. Same with like aggression, a lot of trainers don't want to deal with it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with saying, no, I'm not qualified to do this, I don't want to do this. I'd rather wait. Also take into safety into consideration if you have arthritis or something like that. I have arthritis, luckily it's under control. But I wouldn't take on a dog that I didn't know how to mess with first. Be nice, Nico. Moxie, out. Good. There you go.
So I'm curious why you didn't say like offer a reward of chicken or offer a higher.
Because you're bartering.
Okay.
If I have a toy with him and I like, here, have chicken, he's only gonna drop it when I have that treat.
Okay.
If I'm walking down the street and he grabs something he shouldn't have, I don't have that chicken, he's gonna be like, you have nothing to give me, you can't have this. Basically with them, it's my possession, it's on loan to you, always. I'm not gonna ask you if I can have it back. A lot of totally positive trainers do it that way, but then it backfires on them when they, in a pinch, the dog has something they shouldn't have, they try and take it from him. The dog's like,
Where's the chicken?
give me something first.
Right.
Let me have something first. Same with if you barter with another toy. A lot of people do that with like puppies, like, oh, you have this? Here, look at this one. Okay, I have this. Look at this. It's a bartering system. We don't want to barter with them. We want to do out of respect, out of training, out of a controlled stimulus area. I'm controlling what we're doing. I'm not relying on something outside of what I have by myself. I should be able to control a dog without anything. I shouldn't need treats or food. I didn't bring any treats today. All of them listen without it. I brought a toy, but that's just more to keep him occupied.
So what if they do get something and we want, like they have something and they shouldn't have it or we need to get it?
In a like hurry, if you haven't had a chance to do the conditioning, resort to the bartering.
Okay.
Don't use it as a training method though.
Okay.
Lexi, out. Don't use it as a training method. So when I'm working with him, I don't want to barter with him.
Okay.
If it's like, oh my gosh, you can't have that. Hey, look what I have. It's an emergency. In an emergency, we do things that aren't conducive to training. Same with like when you're recalling a dog. If you're working on a recall and you're every time you're like, come here, come here, come here, come here, and then for whatever reason they don't want to, there's nothing else to do. Charm has been conditioned, if I say come, you have to come here. Otherwise there's a correction. That's where you want to do, positive training is great. These two especially have only been positive trained. Kind of like kids, if you're with your kid in a candy store and they're having a hissy fit because they want a piece of chocolate, you're not like, oh, hey, you can have a piece of chocolate, because if you stop crying. You walk back in, they're probably going to start screaming again because you gave them chocolate last time they started screaming. We don't want to condition that with them. It's more out of, hey, we have a relationship together. I listen to what you say, but you have to listen to what I say too. Which is where we do want to listen to them. We don't want to push them. A dog like Charm, honestly, I don't train her. I don't work with her. She knows her basics. Other than that, it's just conditioning her to be conditioning her to be a good dog. She doesn't need the training. She's perfect the way she is. Him, we do probably 20 hours of training a week. It's always. However, if I skip a day of training, he's a jerk the next day. Everything loses. He's like, I'm not going to look at you when I heal. I'm not going to come on call. I'm going to snap at you. I'm going to bite your pocket because I know that's where you have the ball. So it has to be consistent every single day. Moxie likes training, but not enough like him, where you want it to be a consistent, which is, again, where we want to tell adopters, be completely upfront. I know from personal experience, a lot of shelters aren't completely upfront. I would tell someone, if you take him, if you don't run him for 2 hours a day, he's going to eat your house. Even if it's a blizzard, I have to take him and find a place to run him for at least 20, 30, 40 minutes of hard work. Otherwise, he eats out of his kennel and leaves my house. And I've gone through 5 kennels. We
don't hide that fact there from people. We'll tell them that.
Perfect.
We don't want this dog coming back.
Yeah,
That is perfect. So many shelters are like, oh no, it's a great dog. Then people get it home, they're like, oh my gosh, what is this?
That's what happened with Saturn and I.
They don't tell you,
Yeah.
and then you get it home, you're like, oh, I'm not cut out for this. A lot of times in those rescues blame the adopter. Well, they didn't give it time. You weren't upfront with them. Charm is loose in the house all day, every day. She doesn't care. She's going to sleep. Moxie is loose. She needs stuff to do. He cannot be loose ever. He will probably never be loose in my house. We also have a metal kennel because he likes to eat them.
So, German Shepherds in general, is it not safe to generalize? They're not all like this?
It's not safe to generalize. No, this comes from extreme. He's been bred to do it.
He's been bred for this.
This is bred in. I can tell you his parents from 20 years back. It's been bred shits.
And then there would be German Shepherds that are bred for more family.
Exactly.
Right?
Most of them, honestly, a good, and not a blanket policy, but with like, I work with Shepherds mostly. That's kind of like where my specialization is in. I know in all breeds, that's the dog I chose to work with, so I know them a little bit better. Dogs that don't look German Shepherd, or they're all black. Black Shepherds are a lot of the time a working line. Sable, where they have like this coloring. Any of the fauna normally is probably Malinois mixed. Not always, because Lab will do that too. If it looks like this, acts like this, it's probably Malinois. Black stables, they're like a dark black with some brown mixed in. Normally are always working line. Not always. And with working line, some of them are pet dogs too. So you can't really blanket it. In his litter, 2 did stay military. They did like tours in Afghanistan and all that. He came to me for personal protection and demoing and sport work. 1 went to search and rescue, 1's a family dog. So out of that litter, we could have all those different kinds of dogs.
Yeah.
But the breeder knew the temp testing. We're going to do a lot of temp testing. Each session is probably going to be thrown in with some temp testing, because that is what's going to get your dogs into homes. The breeder, really good breeders, when he was 4 weeks old, they knew which home each dog is going to. It's already been sought out. They test the drives. Even puppies will show that play drive. They're going to be a little bit more playful, but if they go like they're actually going to bite it, again, you'll be able to tell once you get really good at testing. I've tested hundreds of dogs. You know right off the bat, okay, this one. You just have to practice it.
I've heard that they start trying to get a feel for their temperament, if they're going to be good like service dog stuff, like from a week old.
Right off the bat. Yeah, 4 weeks old is when they call it. I know I was getting about 4 weeks. They kind of, breeders don't let you pick the dog ever. Which, in my opinion, if I can get shelters, every single shelter, to not even get, you don't even get to look at the dogs. I will show you 5 dogs that match your personality. I got to see the puppies when I went and picked them up, which was fun. I'm like, oh hey, look at all the puppies, but this one was the one that had my name on it. That was it. There was no. They said, this is your dog, here you go. You can have it. Any other dog isn't going to do what they wanted. which really good breeders do. I know a lot of shelters are completely against breeding. I'm not. Really good breeders do an awesome job. Obviously military is a little bit different, but breeders that do like working dogs, their puppies are not impounds, they're not in shelters, they're normally in a house that is working them. It's your backyard breeders that accidentally get the wrong dog. Which, in North Dakota, it's pretty blanket to say it's not a good breeder. Generally. So it's kind of a safe bet. Where did you get it from? If you do get someone like surrendering their dog and they say it's AKC, it's nice to ask for lines so you kind of know, because that will tell you a ton about the dog. His parents dated back to like World War II with the Red Cross. They were Red Cross dogs. I knew exactly that from years and years and years ago. So if you can find it, most people don't have those things. Also, another thing to stress is AKC doesn't matter. A lot of people come in, that AKC paperwork holds a lot of value. It doesn't. He's not AKC registered. A lot of Malinois breeders won't register him because they think it's stupid. It has no meaning. I was telling Katie Saturn, I'm probably 99% sure, he's probably AKC registered. And he spent his life in a kennel, matted, being used for breeding. But yeah, that AKC paperwork really means
There's
a lot
no
to you.
regulations on that.
Exactly. So that means, don't let that fool you like, oh, it's actually a purebred dog. It came from good lines, good home. It really doesn't. Any other questions? Awesome. I think we are good, and then it'll be 6 next week, not 6:30. I will forget.
It's still okay.